Welcome back to HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom. My name is Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justing, and as promised, we've got a fuzzy friend for all of you because we broke $9,000 here on HeroesCCL. Grubby, what was Logan doing in the break? Was he doing a Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, he just solved one. It's incredible. I wish I could have shown it, but he finished right before we came back. But like promised, I promised before that we'll try to have Logan and Springy do a high five, and I'm glad to finally be able to present that to you. We got Logan and Springy together here, which is so amazing.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it.
Wow.
Oh, they just high five. That's amazing.
That's so amazing. That's so beautiful.
It was just barely out of the shot, but it was perfect. Yeah,
it was absolutely perfect. Look at that accuracy that Logan has. Oh. Now, for anyone that's wondering, Grubby, what kind of treats are you giving Logan? These are important questions.
I did not hear you.
What kind of treat is it that Logan got? I'm sure people at home want to know what, like.
Yeah, it's just a pork fillet. We just bought pork fillet from the butcher, and we dried it at home into dehydrated pork snacks, so you can keep them forever, like literally forever. And it's a great healthy snack for him.
I think Logan eats better than I do, honestly. So either way, thank you seriously, everyone at home, for donating towards the prize pool. If you'd like to donate towards the prize pool, you can use !prize pool in chat to get yourself over there. I did talk with Justing during the break as well, and we're gonna try and get we'll try and get a donation incentive for next weekend, or maybe even we can hit 10K today, and we'll get Springy next weekend so we can get everything set up for that wonderful furry friend. But of course, we had a little break. We are back into the mix, and of course. Oh, we're back, and I think everyone kind of needs to be reminded as to how our amazing partner Ball Street works. And let me just break this down for all of you at home really quickly, because it's up to you to get the best picks for the winning team live as you're watching on cclmarkets.com. It's free. If you pick wrong, you can sell your shares and buy the other team before the match is over. CCL markets trade from 0 to 100 with shares of the winning team valuing at 100 and shares of the losing team expiring at 0. There's tons of prizes this season, so join and play during every Heroes CCL broadcast. Thank you again, Ball Street, for partnering with us, but let's go ahead and start breaking down these rosters. Justing, who do we got on the side of 30K?
On 30K, we've got Caterpillar laying the tank position, Cure, the flex for the team, Legacy, the support, Liam, the offlaner and winner of awards, Madara, the range for the team, and their 6th member is B-Kid. This team looked super scary in all the weeks so far. They're currently sitting alone in first place. You have just standout players in pretty much every position. This is the NA super team. Cattle been around since the beginning of competitive HoTS alongside Cure. We've had Madara looking quite strong on Oxygen in the past. Liam winning all the awards. Legacy winning 2 seasons of CCL alongside Cure. Just a superstar NA roster.
Big players over here on 30K, but of course, the side of Oxygen Esports, Grubby, is a daunting, a scary roster as well.
Yep. Before playing on 30K, now playing on Oxygen is HazuOps, perhaps the best Hanzo in the league, especially judged by what I think is the most important skill, hitting massive dragons' arrows. Watch out for Hazu on Hanzo or HanzoOps. Then we've got Copenhagen, who really grew from being an okay solo laner to being an absolute top solo laner. Now also top 15 on the EU Grandmaster ladder. He has been working hard at improving. Nick is a Sergeant Hammer aficionado, but he's really good at a number of heroes, including Imperius and Tracer and many others. Bad Bunny, a fantastic tank, not entirely flawless, but he's really good at finding opportunities and initiating. I love him on Johanna. And then Yasu, super well known for his Lucio above all, but he also had a brief little stint where he tried to get his team to allow him to play Whitemane and Alexstrasza, and they allowed that exactly once and never again.
You know what I really want to see, and maybe this is, let me bring this up, Justing. Is this a super counterable thing? Because you and I have actually tried this as well, and some of the police try this at homes. Grabbing something like the Alexstrasza with that level 1 that gives you the regeneration globes, and then grabbing like Stitches and or Mephisto for his level 4. You could go into the level 13, but we rarely ever see the Hysteria being picked up. Why don't we see this Alexstrasza pop up from time to time? Is it just she's so counterable? Like there's better healers?
The main issue with Alexstrasza is that she really struggles to save someone from getting one shot, and so much of the meta right now revolves around playing for those one shots. She doesn't have a good, reliable way to stop that. She is only, and it's, when you use Dragon Form, it's kind of a signal for the enemy team to disengage. She's pretty much only viable on Infernal Shrines. She is, and Volskaya, but that's not in the pool anymore.
Right.
She is really strong on Infernal Shrines though, and she's really strong in double support on Infernal Shrines. And she does synergize with that Globe ability, with things like Diablo, with Devil's Due, things like Kerrigan with her Globe talent, things like Mephisto, like you mentioned. And those are all strong heroes on Infernal Shrines as well. So there is the option to play a very specific comp with her, but it's so niche that I think that's the main reason we haven't seen it.
It's just one of those things. It's just like, I want to see it. I want to see these fun things because I've casted them in different leagues, and I feel like it's good, it's popular, it works. But either way, let's take a look at where we're going to for map number 1 in this best of 5 series, and we can talk about draft theory a little bit more, because it is going to be the members of 30K opting for map pick priority as the winning team for coin flip. They will ban out Garden of Terror. We actually have not seen them play Garden of Terror through the season, nor have we actually seen Infernal Shrines or Battlefield from the side of Oxygen, and Oxygen will ban out that Battlefield of Eternity. So 30K chooses to take us to Alterac Pass. So an interesting day here, Grubby, because both of our best of 5s have started with teams prioritizing map pick, meaning it's more so they've got a plan for these maps and they don't need that first pick priority or first ban priority either.
Yeah, sometimes map becomes more important when you feel that second pick is just better. So it's not so much about which map you want, just that you like the flow of a second pick draft. So take, for instance, the Battlefield of Eternity game just now. You had Chili Mountain giving away the first pick, which is Li Ming, and she's incredible at hitting her skill shots and poking down the Immortal. But then they got 2 heroes in return, which I actually forgot their first pick, but the second was Lucio. And it's like, wow, if you think someone is going to pick Ming and then you get Lucio plus something else,
Hanzo,
maybe that's better. Was it Hanzo?
It was Hanzo, Lucio, Muradin, Yrel, Tracer.
Yeah, so it really sometimes depends, and I don't think we can always 100% know what the teams are planning, because you can work out hundreds of potential theoretical drafts, and then as a drafter, I think you can do a lot of theory crafting while at the same time remaining aware of what your team generally likes to pick and ban. So yesterday we had a team that was experimenting letting Junkrat come through on various maps, though he has a, what did you say, Bahamut, 97% ban rate or so.
He's got like a 90+% like ban rate, and he's 100% in popularity. So he's either banned or picked basically, and in any way, shape, or form. But it's mostly being banned out. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting, and it's also a big shift justing from the last matchup we had. Chili Mountain looks so dominant against Simplicity, but 30K versus Oxygen, this should be teams that are extremely well matched up. They should be almost at the exact same level of skill to be displayed between both sides.
Yeah, both of these rosters super strong, and a lot of them we have kind of a similar history as well, where we have players like Cattle and Cure, which are kind of the NA parallels to Bad Benny and Hasuabs. So it's interesting to see. Even Nick we had around from way back, same with Liam. We have all these players who have really kind of storied pasts in HoTS, and it's just, this is the actual, like, the perfect NA versus EU. Like, the team's players are kind of have like the same history, just separate. And it's cool to see these teams going against each other. Yeah, it's like they both had kind of the same experiences, just within their own regions.
Well, we're going to kick things off for the side of Oxygen with that Blaze, and there's Legacy's Brightwing. I mean, Legacy is such a fantastic Brightwing, consistently always able to save Cure in some of those dive moments. And I mean, we talked about it in the pre-show, Justing. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I feel like I've been talking about it all week. Liam has the most S+ tier bounces on Hogger. It's
Hogger's nuts.
It's terrifying, and Grubby, I'm sure you've seen it too. But of course, Grubby, you want to get your thoughts on the draft, because we have some bans, we got some picks, and some more from Oxygen.
Sylvanas is up, Falstad is up, Nubarak has been banned. Not gonna go with the Sylvanas. Very happy to see the Hanzo Azuops coming in. His skill at initiating fights, taking that load away from his tank, instead of just letting his tank constantly worry about how to initiate, HeroesCCL is going to help carry that load a lot. That's going to make it easier for Bad Benny to step up. The Janna ban by 30k was heads up. Bad Benny plays that hero very well. And at this time, Bad Bunny must not know yet what tank he would like to be getting. Nick Hammer will be removed. That makes sense. Diablo Hammer would have been like a fantastic final rounding out for Oxygen, depending on what happens next on the side of 30k. And Cure Cerito has been deleted.
Yeah. You know, and I know it's not a 1-to-1 justing, but I would love to see Cure like pick up like Valera and utilize that, because I feel like he's very good at this kind of single target deletion type hero, and I think Valera does have some viability. Just she's never played at ever. I mean, her wave clears and other things are low, but still I just want to see Kira just annihilate people on a Valera. I don't know about you.
I think something like a Kira would fit the same sort of theme, because yeah, Valera is a little bit difficult to pull off right now. I think I'm glad to see 30k ban the hammer. I was kind of concerned that they were going to leave themselves in a situation where they were going to kind of try to outskill it with the potential for Madara to pick Chromie, which is a bit of a counter, but I don't think it's enough of a counter, because while you do have that option to have the Chromie matching the hammer, you're always still playing defensively in that situation on the map when hammer's just split pushing the whole game. So I really like what 30k has done. I like banning the hammer so you don't have to deal with it. Picking up the Diablo and the Chromie is really strong as well. Genji, not nearly as scary as the Sergeant Hammer, not in a macro sense, not in a team fight sense, especially not into what 30k has drafted, and they have the option to go even more tanky here if they want. The only member who really needs something to answer it right now is the Muradin. Blaze is quite tanky, but you don't really need to put too much of an emphasis on focusing him in team fights. Muradin might be a bit of a problem, but his damage isn't enough to really matter into Brightwing. They do look for something that is giving them both tankiness in the Thrall and picking a melee that's not going to be susceptible to getting dove by the Genji, and also does give them that tank killing ability against the Blaze and the Muradin. I really like this Thrall a lot. I think there's not a ton of situations where you pick it, but it makes sense here, and we saw a similar draft from 30k before. I really like this a lot. I think the 4-man Thrall is pretty strong. It has CC, it has that percent damage when you get to 16, as well as the level 7 if you choose to take it. It's really good with the Chromie as well. It gives you... This is basically the perfect pick here. I really like the Thrall here, because they don't want to be squishy into the Genji. They want something that can deal with the Muradin. It kind of just does everything for them, and it gives them even more CC. They have a ton of CC right now. They have Brightwing Poly, Hogger stuff, Diablo stuff, Chromie stuff, and now they also have Thrall Root. Every single person on their team has CC in their kit. And on the other side, you have a very kind of weird composition where Blaze doesn't really dive the backline, Rhaegar doesn't dive the backline at all, Hanzo doesn't dive, all he has is a Dragon Arrow, and Genji has no Light Bomb or anything to help him dive in. It's basically just Genji and Muradin who have to play to dive alongside Hanzo damage, and then Blaze and Rhaegar who have to play in the backline. I'm expecting 30k, if they don't just get ran around the map, to just completely stomp Oxygen in the draft with their team comp.
Oh, well, you'll see if that's going to be the case here back on Alterac Pass and our second best of 5 of the day. Thank you so much, Justin, for joining us in that breakdown. We'll see you after the game for more analysis, because on the left-hand side, we got 30k. Legacy on the Brightwing, Cattle on the Diablo, Kira on the Thrall, Liam on the Hogger, and Madara on the Chromie. Over on the side of Oxygen Esports, we're looking at Hazuabs on the Hanzo, Bad Benny on the Muradin, Yasu on the Rhaegar, Nick on the Genji, and Kopen on the Blaze. You know what's funny, Grubby, is I was literally sitting there and we were looking at the draft unfold, and I was like, wonder if Kira's gonna Thrall here. Like, my brain was thinking about it, because we've seen him do it more and more. We've seen more Thrall priority throughout the weeks. We had that amazing play before the Memorial Day weekend with that Thrall sort of blink sunder light bomb into the backline on Towers of Doom. That was in the pre-show. So I'm right there with Justin. I like the Thrall. He also did go into the level 1 that I very much enjoy, that Rolling Thunder, for more percent-based damage to really kind of whittle into Kopen or even into Bad Benny on the Blaze Muradin, respectively. But of course, Grubby, as we have a Blaze being pushed around and Kopen almost dying, any thoughts on the drafts?
Yeah, I think... I was thinking he's gonna maybe go for Malthael.
Ooh, okay.
And Malthael would have threatened Muradin and Blaze just like Thrall, maybe more. But like Justin said, it would have done less control against Genji. And that's what Thrall does a lot better. So what some people forget about Genji is that Genji's got 2 kinds of teleportation. The Swift Strike and the Jump. This kind of mobility are like teleports or dashes. Okay. And then he has a deflect that makes him protected for a bit. But what still matters a lot for him is just regular, good old-fashioned mobility, just moving. So slowing him is actually really, really powerful. Earthquake, Root, Jaina slows. These may not seem like the primary tools against Genji. We're also always thinking in terms of stuns, Variant, Taunt, Shadow Charge, Diablo. But all of these are very useful for threatening a Genji that's throwing shurikens and auto attacks. It pretty much forces him to default to either deflect or X-Strike in order to keep himself safe. So I love the Thrall as well. I think it's a key pick here. A lot of people wonder when to take Thrall. He's your frontline killer that also has control. That's what he is.
The way McIntyre actually, when we had McIntyre in Season 2 doing the analytics for HeroesCCL, he talked about Thrall and the way that you kind of have to play him. And the big thing that I always remember about how he explained Thrall is you never want to, you don't run straight at the enemy and push your buttons. Thrall is kind of, you kind of jump in and out of the fight. You go in, you do a little bit of damage, you leave. You go and you do a little bit of damage. You want to make sure that you're proccing your trait, and so if you don't have those cooldowns, you can't proc it. So Thrall's not the hero you run in and you sit there and you just deal damage. You kind of rotate in and out of the fight with him and make sure that he's kind of just in there dealing good damage, then backing off so he has his cooldown. So it's the one takeaway that I always remember from McIntyre, the way he was kind of explaining Thrall is you don't want to just face first into the enemy team consistently. Got to kind of play this little bit of whittle poke value. But here we go. That's going to be Cattle gapping his team with that Shadow Charge, but Nick was able to read the initiation with the Swift Strike as the first objective phase is up and available, ready to go between these two teams.
Yeah, he knew he had to Swift Strike out because he would have got polymorphed, overpowered, and Shadow Charged back into the gate. Not for ages. Between 0 to 3, choking hazard. That Chromie Sand definitely dangerous there. As Madara goes to the middle to deal with the Nullpack camp. What I love that Oxygen did early game is just constantly hitting their skill shots into the enemy towers. That alone already hurt those towers a lot. And I'm going to try to combine that a bit more too. Well, I usually end up taking solo laner that can take Sapper camp, the Nullpack camp on this map. Not something like Blaze and then going mid. But that was really cool how they did that with Hanzo and Blaze. And them a nice little advantage. Meantime though, Azov's defending the Nullpack camp. Nobody has a Nubarak to easily be able to take the prison camp without even needing to kill the defenders. But what Oxygen did already do is kill those defenders.
And the reason that Oxygen killed those defenders is because they won't respawn until you get the channel on the objective. So right now, if they have an opportunity where they could maybe sneak the channel, they're not going to be having to deal with those jailers, only maybe fire stomps from Cattle as we just saw right there. So it's a little bit of a tech right there if you are wondering why they cleared that out and then just left it. So that way it's a little bit easier and there's a little less delay if there's that opportunity. And as Grubby was saying, there's no Anubrak, there's no one to kind of create little spawnables or babies, as Justin will call them, to kind of deal with those jailers. But right now, Kieran top lane, he's getting some decent damage into Copen. That level 1 coming through, as well as the Ancestral Wrath finding its value, but Nick comes over the wall, the Jet Propulsion comes in, that's a phase shift from Brightwing. Cure trying to keep his Frostwolf procs coming through, as we do have 4-5 stacks on that level 4 for Thrall. If he misses one or dies, he will reset down to 0, but if he hits the next one, he finishes out that quest and it will be permanently staying.
Yep, he will have half duration on Wolves and lower mana costs as well. Half cooldown duration, so that's a buff. Half duration on Wolf will be kind of bad. Last time Cure played Thrall, he didn't manage to complete the quest until level 16, actually. It was a tough game for him. This time, going good, going well so far. He poured it. He's actually headed back towards top, which is interesting. You would imagine that by the time he arrives, level 10 will have been reached, and that maybe they could try to make a play for the objective. But it would be such a tiny window that... Oh look, he is veering away from top.
Interesting. And that 6th stack, I feel, is always the most nerve-wracking one. It's like, if I miss this, I gotta do it all over again. But let's see the fight break out, because it is pre-10s right now. There's a polymorph onto Nick. He's gonna be able to get the Swift Strike right out of there. Frostwolf is right in line. He will finish it out. Copen is able to get away. I think he might have gotten a purge from Rhaegar. I'm checking the cooldown. Yes, he did get a purge from Rhaegar, and that does keep him, well, safe and able to back away, as 10s are here first for the side of 30k. When it comes to heroics, well, we can actually take a little bit of a break here. Looks like we do have a player DCing right now, so we will get them back into the games. While we get them back into the game, let's take a look at those level 10s. We got that Slowing Stance for Chromie already picked up. We will be having Shockwave for the Hogger, Sundering for the Thrall, Lightning Breath for the Diablo, and Blink Heal for the Brightwing. Now, Grubby, I feel like Sundering can be anti-synergistic with the Shockwave and the Lightning Breath a little bit. More so the Shockwave, because I feel like you're pushing them to the side. Oh.
Right, but it can also be synergistic. Think about it like this.
Okay.
Sundering.
Okay.
Shockwave, Lightning Breath. You just gotta...
Venn diagram it. You gotta Venn diagram it perfectly.
you just gotta plan it perfectly.
But no,
I liked it. Okay. I liked it when on Reddit they once discovered that Sundering has a bias towards which direction it pushes people. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
The center point animation of Sundering is not a perfect split to split the C both ways 50-50. I think it actually veers on pushing towards the left of Thrall's own Sundering. So yeah, if you have a really good feeling for Thrall, you may already be playing Sundering properly without being 100% aware of it. If you've ever wondered, if you're trying to hit someone point blank, right dead center with Sundering, why they went to the left, that would probably be why. But you could do a perfect Sundering, push everyone into a Shockwave, into a Lightning Breath, and that would then be the Wombo combo.
You are seeing through the fog. I'm looking at it. I'm just like, oh, there's a lot of moving parts on this one. It might not work out. But actually, Justin is posting in here. He's saying that it's something like 66% pushes to the left. So take that as fact. Justin just gave us a fact. There's no in between. But no, I mean that is actually kind of interesting. I actually didn't know that it has kind of a favored side, that it does kind of displace the enemy hero. Really interesting with that. And then we don't have 10 talent tier just yet for the side of Oxygen Esports, but any thoughts on those, or even the heroics we already have, Grubby?
Yep, it's HoTS. It's not Madara Uchiha, so it's going to be Hanzo's Dragon Arrow for show. Murden's going to be on Avatar. Rhaegar will be taking Ancestral Healing. I'm 99% sure that Genji will use X-Strike in order to dodge Sundering, Shockwave, Lightning Breath, Slowing Sands, any one of those. And Blaze is, of course, going to go for Bunker. There shall be no surprises on the side of Oxygen. And let's also talk about how a fight is going to look like. Hanzo Ops. Let's just stick with it. He's going to let loose a Dragon Arrow. He's going to initiate from afar. It's going to hit, let's say it's going to hit Hogger, Diablo, and Brightwing. Okay. Yeah. Murden jumps in. He'll try to Stormbolt Hogger. Or Chromie if he can reach. Then Genji is going to, of course, either target Brightwing or Chromie. And I do kind of feel, even as I'm just painting the picture of the battle here, I'm feeling Justin's difficulty to see how this fight will be very, very easy for Oxygen. Because they do kind of have, besides the Dragon Arrow, they do kind of just run at them, and not everyone can have maximum, let's say, advancement towards the backline. It's not safe for Rhaegar, for sure. Slowing Sands is going to be a key ability here for 30k. I think it's going to be hard team fights, to be honest, for Oxygen.
These will be, it's going to be very interesting, honestly, for either side. I'm really kind of excited about the potential from 30k's Wombo, per se. Like, I really want to see how this actually lines up, because now that you point out with Sundering, maybe like pushing people, maybe they can get like a nice kind of press against the wall and then just layer in these things. It should be very good. Sorry, I'm reading in the in-game chat just to make sure that like what's going on with it. And it looks like we just have one of the players just trying to rejoin the game. Looks like we have one player back in, but we're just waiting on the other. Says they can't rejoin, but we'll see what happens. We'll give it more time, and hopefully they can join back into the game. But we will see what happens. We'll wait for our admins to let us know what the actual call is going to be. Until then, we just kind of wait and see what happens, or at least we can kind of just guess what could unfold here, as we do have the camp being prioritized by 30k.
The way that the fight would look like for the side of 30k, who have Diablo, Thrall, Hogger, Chromie, and Brightwing, generally you'll just have Diablo initiate on someone. He's such a tanky son of a gun that he can initiate without too much fear what happens to him. It'll be about dodging the Dragon Arrow, just being aware of that, just stepping up with their heavy front line, and then Sundering Shockwave will mostly be used as a counter engage, trying to stop Murden or Genji from choosing their target. I really love what Oxygen, what 30K put together here.
Oh, it'll be really exciting. We're just the admins are right now just discussing with the players what the next steps will be, and well, while they discuss all of that, you know what we haven't discussed very much, Grubby, and we could talk at length about talents and blah blah blah, but we'll get back in the game and we can talk about it all then. What we should talk about is the HeroesCCL LAN happening August 5th through 7th. Are you pumped to see the top 4 in HeroesCCL actually brawl out in Mall of America at the Wisdom Gaming Studios? You, Grubby? You excited?
What?
Sorry, I know.
What's that?
I know the admins. We're all trying to communicate with the admins, but are you excited about the HeroesCCL LAN?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I talked about it last night on stream as well. It's going to be great to see everyone's maximum performance level at the LAN as well. You know, and LANs have a extra way of bringing the community in a scene closer together. So I think it's a great moment for Heroes of the Storm Esports post. You know, Blizzard letting us do whatever we want with the game and us taking control of our own destiny and our own esports here. So very important. I think it's going to be great.
All right, looks like we got the countdown back in. Sorry, everyone, for the slight delay, but we are back into the game, and let's see what's going to happen here. So I am just looking really quickly to see what the actual call was, because it looks like one player DC'd and couldn't rejoin. So it looks like that will be the members of Oxygen having to play with a bot due to the HeroesCCL rules. This is something that's already been set in the rules based off of, you know, what's happened, game bugs, blah, blah, blah. So that is just the clarity of the situation. For anyone wondering if you DC Blaze, that's because Copen dropped and could not rejoin the game. But that's all aside. Let's talk about what we have here, because Grubby, I think you owe me a pizza, because look at that Hanzu Obs level 10.
No way. But did he pick that because he has a bot Blaze anyway? Yeah, I don't usually see him go for that, but okay. So instead, I guess it kind of makes sense. He's the only proper range damage dealer. I was so sure, Bahamut. But it's like I just described the difficulty of engaging off of a Dragon Arrow since there's so much counter engage. He perhaps has also decided that they need more range damage in a fight, especially into something like a stationary Lightning Breath. And against a heavy melee team that's more likely to stand inside of it. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I do like the adaptation coming out from Hazuab. Says, here comes the Vandar Stormpike Cavalry, as that's going to be a big initiation. The time stop from Chromie actually saving out Cattle does also give him that armor from the level 4 that Chromie did go into, and she's trying to snipe onto Nick. As Blaze and looks like one more in the bottom lane are going to be, I think it's Rhaegar, who are trying to take down Hogger, but it doesn't look like that will be working out for them. And this mid lane fort, I think it's doomed to fall.
Yeah, at this point, Blaze is tethered to Yasuo and is didn't pick its ult yet. I wonder if it's going to be Combustion or Bunker. That's going to be something to look out for. But now suddenly there's much less agency for Oxygen to try and make something special happen.
Oh, Blaze!
Oh.
Wrong direction, bud.
Oh.
But he lives. The Ancestor Healing from Yasuo does keep him alive. Bottom lane fort will fall, mid lane fort will fall, top lane, the objective has pushed up, but it doesn't look like that fort is going to fall too. Actually, it's falling quite rapidly in top, though Genji Hanzo should have the clear. And as we... go ahead.
One of the best bots apparently to get is Gal, because the skill shots are incredible and the movement is completely within the control of the Joe human player. So maybe Copenhagen should play Gal next game. It's good risk management.
Hey, no, you're...
I don't know why... Like, he streams. Like, I don't know why he's always disconnecting during CCL, but he streams and it seems fine for many, many hours in a row.
Huh.
So, yeah. It's strange what's happening to him, unfortunate.
So...
But
it is,
not
it's
the fault for 30k.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a problem for 30k. I mean, they don't get a say in the matter. It's not down to their goodwill or not. They don't get a choice, so they still have to play the best they can. Now you're going to see higher risk plays by Oxygen to kind of make the game go faster, either going well in a good and funny way or just going downhill faster. It's just one map in the opening of this best of 5, so they're just rushing boss. They are losing mid keep to double hogger camp, so that's a 7 hoggers actually. 7 gnolls are banging on their front door in the mid keep.
But in top lane, the fight will break out. There's that Sundering to split the enemy team. Bad Benny Blaze are going to be... Okay, all right. Looks like we have a DC or a player. Looks like the players are going to be discussing something with the admin right now. So looks like there is some communication happening between 30K and the admins about this DC. So we'll get all that resolved in just a little bit. So, man, the null pack through mid lane, the 7 nulls, as you were saying, is actually quite comical, and I'm just gonna take a quick peek at that one. Yeah, that mid lane keep, at the rate that things are looking right now, it is seeming like the Hogger is just gonna run it down through mid lane before any rotation can happen. But we are in another pause. Sorry everyone to do this to you. So we're having the admins communicate with the players to figure out what's gonna happen here overall, if there is supposed to be any sort of remake or anything like that. Just trying to keep it fair, I guess you could say. But either way, we're gonna get back into this game. And so Grubby, what kind of pizza are we gonna get at the LAN? What kind of pizza are you feeling? Do you want to get that banana pizza together?
I want New York pizza, if that's possible. Can you get New York pizza in Minnesota? I know it's not in the same state.
You can get like New York style. You'll find more like the Midwest deep dish sort of style more often in, like, if I'm not mistaken, because it's...
Is that Chicago?
So yeah, like Chicago style, but there's like Detroit style, which is good, and then there's Chicago style, which belongs in the trash. But we're back into the game, which it looks like we are just gonna have the readies out, and there will be not any sort of remake. As we mentioned, the null pack through mid is pushing up. There's gonna be lightning breath coming out from the Diablos. The boss is still pushing up right here. Yasu does go down to the Chromie as the Blaze is split from his team. He does have that Pyromania. Cattle uses the Shadow Charge to get back towards his team, and Blaze will fall as, oh, literally Liam's trying to end through mid.
Yep. Liam is going for the core already. Oxygen had a very clear call here, where they just trying to go core via top. They didn't think a bot is quite as good as Copenhagen, which I guess is really a compliment towards Copenhagen's play, isn't it, Bahamut?
Yeah, I guess, I would absolutely say that. But it looks like, Drekthar runs to the center, but it looks like that is going to be 30K taking down the members of Oxygen on map number 1. An unfortunate moment, but it is what it is, and that will be map number 1 to the side of 30K. Alrighty, well, I'll be honest, that one's kind of hard to break down because it was the situation that did arise. So, at adjusting, let's get you back in here, and any takeaways that you want to bring up or anything you want to discuss. Maybe you can discuss more Mall of America LAN event stuff.
I mean, the main thing I want to touch on here is still just the draft. I think that this is basically an unwinnable game for Oxygen, considering both these teams should be at about the same skill level. I think that there's anything aside, any connection issues and stuff like that aside, I don't think it's a winnable game from Oxygen unless a miracle happens, basically. In a straight 5v5, it should be pretty much impossible. 30K would have to make just massive draft or macro blunders to really ever fall behind in this game. And as soon as they get the one objective, you see kind of how quickly the game would fall apart. There's not a lot of good response from Oxygen's comp. They don't even really have enough wave clear to be able to do anything about an objective. When an objective comes out, they don't have an ability to really clear it with something like a Genji and a Hanzo. Neither of those heroes do a great job of clearing it. Blaze doesn't clear it very well either. So I think the main takeaway going into the next game is just Oxygen is going to have to draft a lot better if they're going to want to have a chance against 30K, because 30K's draft strategy coming into this match looks perfect. Like, I think that was the best draft just on paper in a 5v5. I think that was the most cohesive draft as a response to another team's draft that we've seen from all the games.
Okay. It was a good game number 1 for 30K, as we mentioned. Unfortunate DC issues, but hey, we'll move past all of that and get ready for our next map number 2. And so we had Garden Terror already banned out, Battlefield of Eternity already banned out. We haven't seen the members of Oxygen Esports on Inferno or Battlefield, so we could see an Infernal Shrines potential here. I wonder if there's any sort of like viability to say like, oh, let's take you to a map where we haven't seen you on, because also, as I'm looking at my stats, the members of 30K, they're 2-0 on Infernal Shrines, Grubby, and I feel like 30K, like, that's their playstyle. Like, they like a map like Inferno, where there's good rotations and people like Cure can kind of roam around, or utilizing a MOBA term, jungle a little bit across the map.
Yeah, that's possible. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what map will be picked. At the end of the day, if you are going to 3 maps, 4 maps, 5 maps, you're gonna play a lot of the maps that aren't picked anyway.
Sure.
It's more, I think, what draft strategy you pick on the map that you have, than what happens. And I think if you're in the spot here of Oxygen, it's best to try and see this from a point of view in this moment of maybe we would have lost that draft anyway, and then just move on and yeah, take whatever you learned from at least the draft, if not the game, and utilize that for the next game.
Well, we are going to wait for our next map to be announced between these two teams. So until then, of course, Justin, I have asked Grubby about his anticipation for the LAN. What about you? You excited? Are we going to go get A and W together? I mean, the 3 of us can go.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for the LAN. It's been a very long time since I've been to a LAN, and we've heard it in one of the interviews prior that the LAN is really the thing that kind of everyone plays for in esports. I'm sure Grubby can touch on this, but the LAN is that's the goal always. It's the highlight of the whole experience of being a pro player in esports, is going and seeing everyone in real life, all the people that you've been playing with for so long that you've gotten to know so well from, all the practice. You're practicing every single week. You get closer to your teammates than pretty much almost anyone else. So being able to go meet them in real life is always really exciting, and be able to meet all the people from the other teams that you're practicing against. It's just it's a really special thing for the players and for the fans as well. It's really cool to see all of that up close and have it all be kind of tangible when it's all pixels until the LAN.
Well, it's like 2 months. It's like 2 months away at this point, so we're all really excited about it. So right now we are going to take a short little break. The admins are going to discuss some of the basically the choices and the decisions and everything like that. So we're going to let the admins do a little bit of deliberation. So we'll be back in just a little bit with more HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name's Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justing, and we're in the midst of our second best of 5 of the day of 30K versus Oxygen Esports. And, well, we're in another best of 5. We've got some decent matches to be had here. And while we wait to figure out where we're going to for map number 2, the big question that I have for you, Grubby, I know everyone's itching about this one. How have your Storm League games been this week? We talked a little bit about your Cho'Gall that you had to go through, the Kira that you had to go through. Did you succumb to the pressure and say, all right, Cass, get online, we're Cho'Galling and winning these games, right?
I appreciate the attempt at making light. I know some people must be a bit upset about what happened. I just want to explain here the protocol for when there is an unexpected happenstance like this. So we typically tend to play out a game when we are met with an unfamiliar situation, just so that we can get that on the books and in the logs, even if we think that something may need to be changed later. But here, we're trying to do everything exactly by the rules that everyone knows, and following the rules exactly in situations like this. And sometimes there are exceptions, and sometimes they're not possible because there's many different facets of it. We aren't too happy about what just happened, and I'm sure the players aren't too happy about it. There was something that prevented a player from rejoining the game, and therefore he could not play the game anymore, and the game had been too far according to the rules. All the players accept the rules when they play the league, even if we're not happy about what happened. At this time, we do have to move forward to the next game, and I know it sucks, but both teams still have a chance to win, so let's move forward with that. At this time, it's all that we can do for sure. So hope you can enjoy the rest of the games and the rest of the casting as well, even if we don't like what happened. So the next map that is gonna be happening, I think we have that one ready, is gonna be Tomb of the Spider Queen. And well, we're gonna have to see what the draft strategies are gonna be. We already saw a bit of a different draft strategy in the first game coming out of 30K with that Thrall that almost no team in the league is picking right now.
These teams, what they could do? They could watch the most recent Please Try This at Home with Justing Allura and I, and they could see how great it would be to grab Raynor, Zagara, and Asmodan and just win. I mean, right, Justing? You just siege the heck out of Tomb of the Spider Queen and just keep winning, right? Or is there more nuance to that? Is it more about double soaking, rotating, ganking the solo laner, getting the lobsters in bottom?
Yeah, I think that is easily the most powerful strategy is to stack the siege heroes. Actually, I don't think it's too bad to kind of throw yourself at buildings if you have a character like that, like Asmodan or even Gul'dan with the meatballs. Having something like that or Hyperion from Raynor, I think a lot of the time it's felt like lately if a team is able to be really far out on a large map sieging, if they secure the structures, it almost feels like no matter how many players die, if it's only one or two, that it's pretty much always been a good trade lately. I think that's part of why Sergeant Hammer has seemed so strong, is the risk to reward ratio of just having a Sergeant Hammer running around pushing everything is absolutely in favor of the Sergeant Hammer, because it's going to take more than one hero at least to go stop her from pushing, because it's pretty much impossible to have just one hero stop her immediately or to kill her, to stop her permanently from pushing. So the amount of people you need to send to stop it just feels like too much. So maybe we'll see a Sergeant Hammer kind of do the same thing, split push thing, but not expecting too many meatball Gul'dans in this series.
Wow, you really got to twist the knife on that one, huh? No, actually, I died to that recently as well. I was playing Falstead Sky Temple, bottom lane. I tapped my well. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm good. I'm just going to Hearth and just fly wherever. And then all of a sudden, I see Rain of Destruction being cast, and I go, I'm definitely dead. And that was the end of it for me. But of course, we have some bans already coming through. A first pick soon for side of 30K. What are you thinking here, Grubby? Well,
so Junkrat was allowed to be put through the draft here because Cure, Maiev, and Madara Chromie deserved such respect here coming out from Oxygen. They felt a little bit of Chromie's power here. She was part of the reason why the bottom wall of Oxygen had already fallen. Their two towers were already lost, and why there was an experience lead just a bit for 30k in the previous game. They removed that. She's extra good on this map, but it does mean we get to see Junkrat here. And yesterday there was a theory in one of the player interviews where they said, yeah, we maybe think Junkrat doesn't get played as much because it's been banned so much.
Yeah.
In this case, I think Madara's up to the task. I do think he's going to be playing it well, despite maybe not having had an expectation that they may get to play Junkrat at all because of all the bans. I think it's going to be scary. I think this is a great map for it. He does a similar job as what Chromie does in interrupting pay, and provides vision. Just like Chromie's traps, he can do that with his own traps and with the concussive to boot. So a very strong start to the draft already here for 30k.
Absolutely. That was that Granite Gaming versus Storm Esports matchup yesterday, the last two maps of the series. That way it's a spoiler-free. I'm not going to tell you which specific ones, but the last two maps did have Junkrats, and that's exactly what I believe it was June in the interview who was saying that he thinks that not a lot of people have been playing it effectively because it's been so banned out. But of course, Justing, man, this draft is evolving very quickly in comparison to our last couple series we've had. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Really strange for 30k. They're in a similar situation to the last draft where they're going to need something that can kill tanks, but the Thrall does not seem nearly as appealing into a Johanna as it did into the Murden in the last game. A Johanna with the blinds and the shields does a lot better into the Thrall, as most of the ways that he procs his damage is with auto attacks, so into the blinds it's very difficult. They do pick Malfurion, which is kind of a forced thing because the Anduin priority. I'm somewhat surprised they didn't just go with Brightwing. Thrall's still gonna go, or Kyr's still gonna go with the Thrall. So even though it is Johanna, he's still picking that. I was curious if he would switch it up because, like I mentioned, it's a lot harder into Joe. It's a lot less strong. And I do like the setup, though, that 30k is able to run. The Thrall pick actually enables a lot of drafts that you otherwise can't really play very easily. Having the Junkrat as an early pick normally would mean that you need this percent damage somewhere in the back end of your draft, and there's not a ton of things that do that reliably right now. So being able to pick that, banning away the Genji, even though the Anduin with the Light Bomb that they would pair with it has been taken away, very interesting. The reason that they pick the Malf is now revealed as it is for the Tracer, because otherwise there's really no clear reason that you would prioritize that. Malf Tracer is easily the strongest pairing for the Tracer. The amount of healing that the regrowth, the rejuvenation on the Tracer has is kind of ridiculous for her little HP pool that she has. It's a lot of healing because of her small HP pool. It's easily the strongest thing with it. You have the Stitches, which now does not do very well into Tracer. Tracer is going to have basically no fear at all of the threat of Stitches. Stitches can't really hook Tracer when she's got so many blinks. You can't really lock her down. Your best option against her is that you can gorge her if she ever gets too close, but even then, unless you have a perfect Junkrat trap already ready on the floor to silence her out of that, she's not really under any threat. This draft definitely not as one-sided, I'd say, as the first one was. I think 30K's draft in game 1 was basically unbeatable. This game, they're definitely a lot less unbeatable here. So we'll see if Oxygen's able to make it work with the Tracer, Malfurion, some kind of new old tech coming out from Oxygen.
Well, thank you, Justin, as always, because on the left-hand side, we got 30K, Liam on the Urel, Kira on the Thrall, Cattle on the Stitches, Legacy on the Anduin, and Madara on the Junkrat. Over on the side of Oxygen Esports, we've got Yasu on the Malfurion, Bad Benny on the Joanna, Hazuabs on the Lunara, Nick on the Tracer, and Copen on the Blaze. You know, Grubby, I was leaning into Oxygen here. I really like what they drafted. I mean, the Nick's Tracer is really good. Hazuab's on the Lunara. But then I had this memory of Cattle playing Stitches in the early weeks of this season and landing so many critical hooks and being just a great Stitches in general. So I'm actually leaning onto 30K here. I feel like they could take this map. It's not going to be easy by any means. I really do feel like Oxygen has a lot of counterplay, a lot of really, really good heroes, a very good draft overall. But I'm banking on the Cattle diff is where I'm sitting. How about you?
Yeah, I think so too. I think Cattle and Madara. I really think, like, first of all, Junkrat's insane, but I think Stitches is really insane as well, and he really breaks a lot of problems because he doesn't need to initiate like other tanks. He can initiate from very far away. And I just really believe in the Stitches Junkrat combination, especially when it's well played. Not when it's your average Storm League Stitches.
Yes.
I think that's a strong combo. I think we're going to see Junkrat going with the full trap build. We're talking Chattering Teeth at level 4. We're talking Sticky Wicket. And either Big Ass at 13 or multi... I mean, I'm not Australian. I don't know how to pronounce it with one S.
No, sorry. Chad always gets me on that one too, and I'm just like, no, I didn't. I always have to emphasize the as, big as.
Yeah, I'm still hearing it. Hands up.
But no, but you're absolutely right with this Junkrat build, and I think that's the cool thing too that we're seeing with the adaptation. In the past, it used to always be Stitches, Tyrande, Stitches, or Malfurion, so you had a root or a stun, and now it's the Steel Trap, and with that upgrade where it prioritizes heroes with the big as. It is going to, it's even easier, but Gotta Trap them all is also a great way as well to just have more opportunities for these hooks to land underneath a Steel Trap. So got the max range hook onto Hazuabs.
Oh, into the trap!
You're kidding me! Madara!
Actual 5-head, he did the geometry. Trap was actually in the bush protecting his flank. The hook into the Anduin chastise. And then not just concussive anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Not generally pushing someone towards your side of the map. No, into the trap.
That actually, when I remember when I first started playing Overwatch, looked at all the achievements you can get. That's actually an achievement in Overwatch. Is you bop someone with the not the explodium charge, but with your not easy throw dynamite with your mine. Thank you. And into a steel trap. That's in Overwatch. That's an achievement. So right there, if we had
put him in Overwatch too.
What, Junkrat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait. Okay.
That's so cool.
Okay.
He has to put up with me. I really respect Bahamut.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy to me is I was playing Diablo Immortal this week, and it's so crazy. They stole Deckard Cain from Heroes of the Storm and Lior. Wow, what a hook onto Nick! But they stole all these characters from Heroes of the Storm and put them in Diablo Immortal. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy, Bahamut. I'm gonna do some thinking on that.
Please do.
That was a cool hook. I didn't fully get the Legacy Leap of Faith on Stitches. Was it to put Stitches in front of Cure in order to block the pulse rounds? That's what I was wondering about. I don't know. That would have been pretty 5-head. It felt more like a misclick. But as it stands, really nice little lead here for 30K because 30K, they took their bruiser camp so bloody fast and that got them the entire mid towers already. They're off to a good macro start, and you know what they say about Stitches teams that take the early game lead? They're gonna win because Stitches is a late game monster.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a little surprised at the level 1 for Cattle. I was kind of thinking we would see the Hungry for More to be able to continually rotate and build up the movement speed as well as the overall health pool, but it is going to be that patchwork creation for the armor as well as the increased regeneration effects on all healing received by 15%. But 1 kill and enough for a turn-in for both sides, that kill leading on the side of 30K.
Yeah, such a strong level 1 talent that makes him real tanky. Not as fast, but tankier. As Oxygen comes here to spot a little heal on Copen and Nick. Actually, I don't think he healed Copen yet. There we go. Has given mana to Copen as well. As Nick is just disrupting those rotations. Basically keeping 4 people happy. Gets stunned there, but 30k knows they can't really get Tracer unless they're real serious about it. Good job by Cure completing the level 4 Wolf quest already.
Yep.
He now has a cooldown of just, what is it, 6 seconds?
Yeah, 6 seconds, but here's a fight. Copen gets a jet propulsion. There's a root. Liam gets hit with the helping hand, which also is a 50% reduction on hook, so that's an 8-second hook on Stitches right now because he used the helping hand and also did land it as well. Level 8 apiece right now. A little experience slightly to the advantage of 30k as Cure's trying to run into Nick, but the movement speed and the damage is just too much, so Cure rushes away. Bad Benny does get hit with a root and a slam, but I don't think he's really threatened. Meanwhile, in bottom lane, Liam is trying to back away. Does have that Dauntless Armor, gets over the wall, but Nick is deep in for the kill. Instamount with Divine Steed gets the Yrel out.
Tracer's Pulse Bomb does 475 damage and Yrel had 620 health. Perhaps that is why Nick had decided not to try and do another blink in, if he even had it, and try to attach the Pulse Bomb to Yrel. He felt like maybe he would have gone down. That would have been a nice opportunity for Oxygen to take some of the wind out of the sails of 30k, who are now boating towards an early game advantage. As they have just gotten the turn in. Nice hook attempt there, plus the trap.
Yep.
On Tracer, he would have dragged her right through the trap. That would have been sick. Rooted and moving towards 30k. Served up as an easy meal, but she's not down. But they're getting the mid fort.
It's like a weird shish kebab sort of composition in a sense. But 10 talent here right around the corner. Mid lane fort will fall. Passive experience gain starting to go to the side of 30k. Bad Benny anchoring, looking for a flank here, but threatening mostly with his presence as Blaze and Lunara still are in mid, and the Webweaver phase will end. 39 gems in the pockets of 30k, 55 needed for another turn in. It's Cattles looking for an angle here. It is a Gorge Stitches.
And Bahamut, we're only 10 levels away from the next Light Bomb, Bolt of the Storm, Thrall Sundering combo that we saw before.
True.
The highlight play from Cure's Thrall there together with Legacy Sanduin. Kind of a strange combo to be gunning for, but hey, I guess it works. This time Oxygen learned from their mistake and take the Bruiser camp a lot faster. Previously, they had not even taken their Bruiser camp at all, while 30k already had taken theirs.
Nice.
Nice save by Yrel.
Yeah, nice play from Liam with the Righteous Hammer with the insta charge with the trait right there. I'm also skimming the opposing side level 10s. We do have that Bless Shield for the Joanna for some lockdown, Bunker for the Blaze, which should help out in all of this. But as we take stock of the map, mid lane seems like where everyone's kind of starting to collapse. Blaze is still in bottom lane, but Nick is safe and able to back away. No actual threat onto the Tracer. As mid lane gets pushed up, Cattle and friends back away for the time being.
Bruiser camp pretty much not alive anymore. Vision advantage now for Oxygen. They're going to try to rotate bot. Cure sees this and does a Chain Lightning to dismount and a root. Gets away, he's fine. Whoa!
Leap of Faith over the wall. Leap of Faith over the wall. There it is. Is there a recall from Tracer? Does put her right there. Sundering against the wall. Nick is going to get hit with the Light Bomb. Everything is going on to Nick, who's got like under 200 HP. He dropped to like 19. And they're all so invested onto Nick. A lot was used from both sides, though, because there was a bunker, there was a Blessed Shield, but a lot more utility from the side of 30k to try and get this kill, as the turn-in still goes to the side of Oxygen.
Fantastic, using that disengage for Oxygen. Oxygen is using that disengage in order to get the turn in. Some Pepega aimed there from 30k as the Wolf didn't hit Thrall, and the hook went north on Tracer instead of south, where she would recall towards. A couple of mistakes there. That could have been a really cool kill. I still think it's a great taste of what's to come as 30k rolled that combo. Now let's see what Oxygen can do with this triple Webweaver push. So far, a high concentration of Oxygen heroes in the south lane.
Riptire does allow the wave clear to happen, does take down those little summonables. There's a pulse bomb onto Madara, slows a lot of the allies, as it is the sticky bomb from level 10 for the Tracer. Bottom lane, Webweaver will fall as it gets the fort front gate, the fort taking a bit of damage. Nick is going to be able to blink away from the hook and the Yrel jump. Thrall, Cure, clearing things out. Bad Benny looking for the angle over the wall. There is a bunker, there is a gorge onto Blaze. Thank you very much. The bunker does come down from him. Liam very low, tries to back away. Ardent Defender is not available, and that is a great double kill to the side of Oxygen Esports on the Anduin, on the Urel. Can Cattle get killed here? 26 gems will go down. The economy of 30k being shattered.
Yeah, Caterpillar was asking himself, what if I just eat Blaze here? Doesn't that work? And I guess it really just doesn't. Full HP Blaze with bunker behind the fort in what was mostly a 3 versus 4. This was also a great extraction though by Oxygen.
Yeah.
Kind of a mistake there. We can actually kind of see it again. It happens. We're gonna watch a replay of Caterpillar there eating the Blaze. Look. You know Cattle has a gorge. He just eats the Blaze. Urel is being threatened. Not putting Blaze inside the trap means that he can bunker, and then Johanna came in. And, Thrall isn't here yet. Pure is not here. He does have Sundering. He could have saved everything here. He could have interrupted the Twilight Dream, what have you. But this was a case of Oxygen bringing all 5 together. They kind of felt what was maybe going to be happening. Maybe they were even kind of baiting Eat Me. Like maybe Blaze was like baiting an eat me moment, and that worked out really, really well. Bit off more than he could chew, literally, as Oxygen now gets another turn in, back to back. They're looking to take mid fort. Bottom is still pushing. That means that everyone now is going to go towards top. Look at Bad Benny coming towards the top as well.
Wow, I actually thought Cure was a lot more threatened than he actually was, but that's not the case. Another hook gorge onto Blaze. He's got bunker available.
Puts him in the trap this time.
There's the trap, but it's cleansed away by Malfurion immediately.
Wow, even though it's Sticky Wicket and he is silenced, Yazoo saves him there with that Nature's Cure. And don't stop, never give up.
And that's what these teams are going to do, Grubby. I think you put that perfectly. Thank you all for being patient. Sorry about that little DC. We got everything back going, and Cure is going to get pulled by... Oh my god.
5-man Sticky Bomb! Man, you don't want to get that sticky with all your boys in the small lane there. So that was actually kind of an unfortunate leap of faith. But they had to get Cure out there. The boss and the Red Web Weavers now taken by Oxygen. And that is a double push value. At this point, 30k really wants to turtle up, retreat in their shell, protect their vital organs, and say, hey, we'll be happy at the end of the day if we can keep our 3 keeps alive right here. Oh, nice hook attempt.
Ooh, that blind hook. Almost connecting onto Bad Benny, or Nick maybe stepping a little too far forward, but either way, here come those Web Weavers pushed. The lanes are pushed up quite a bit in favor of Oxygen through top, mid, and bottom. All 3 of these Web Weavers are seemingly going straight into keep front gate.
Yep, but not a very big minion wave with this Web Weaver right now, so pretty sure mid keep is not gonna fall. That's a Gorge on Tracer. That's pretty interesting, because doesn't she get recall?
Yeah, absolutely she does, but oh my god, Copen! I don't know how his health drops so low so quickly, but the Sundering does split Malfurion. He's gonna get hit with a hook from Cattle. Oh my god, it's like... Wait, okay,
just let him go. They're like,
yeah, cool guys don't look at explosions.
You're poisoned, we're not gonna give you the cure. I
felt very Resident Evil for a second there. But I do have to say that's a... Members of 30k, they shifted into 5th gear right there in that engagement, and they really defended quite well. Now 30k has enough for a turn in here, not back-to-back at the time being. For anyone wondering, boss is up in 3 minutes, and we have camp being pushed in through bottom lane. Cattle gonna get a few gems turned in, looking really quickly. Who's got the vast majority? Thrall. Cure needs to turn in. He's in the top area, getting harassed and slowed down by the Johanna.
They've got so many gems. Oh,
we got it!
But Benny didn't interrupt in time! I think that was Blessed Hammer RNG, bro. He thought that one of his Blessed Hammers is surely gonna whack Thrall something fierce over the face, but nope, they missed, so he came in with the Condemn. It was too late.
Good leap of faith. I'm just going to check Anduin. He just, in 1 second, will have 1 charge of leap of faith. It is a 70-second cooldown, so we'll get that next one around later in the game. I can't do caster math right now because we got way too much happening on the screen, as 30k are going to try and look to turn this map around. They've been the ones who have been slowly pushed in. Can Cure and friends make something happen through top lane? Maybe even Liam through bottom.
What seems to have been a pretty big deal is Liam's Urel here. Coming in, hitting people with the Templar's Verdict. You wondered previously how it was possible that Copenhagen took so much damage in such a short time in an engagement that also saw Yasuo's Malfurion fall. Well,
Yeah.
it's of course that 7% max health damage from Templar's Verdict. The hammer from Yrel that also does a minus 20 armor debuff. That is pretty insane. If it wasn't for that, it'd still be Stitches Pulverized. That's minus 10% armor. They don't stack, but both of them can provide a long period of time where heroes feel extra vulnerable. And suddenly now, it seemed like Oxygen had been on the winning end of things, getting a boss, getting a turn-in. Now they only have 36 gems. There is a turn-in available for 30k. All 30k needs to do is to bridge half a level worth of a gap where they don't fight, and then they set up either for a Gorge or for a turn-in. As for Oxygen, they have a choice to invade on Bruiser Camp, the most obvious point where 30k might be congregating. But it is such a death trap to push into that Oxygen choose it's not worth the risk.
Absolutely. I'm looking at the breakdown as well. Between Cure and, I had it just a second ago, Cure and Liam, that's enough for a turn-in. Actually, Cure and Liam are the only two that really need to turn in. Ando and Junkrat, they have 3 and 5 respectively when it comes to their gems available for turn-in. So look at Joanna, though, on your minimap. Look at that massive flank being set up by the Joanna, trying to set something up here.
Yeah,
Hook goes
deep
out,
flank,
not
man.
connecting. That's a deep flank. Blessed Shield is available. Condemned. That's a Blessed Shield to be missed. Cure dropping low. Pulse Bomb. But whatever. What just knocked Cure away?
It's of course
Or
the
did he
level
blink?
20 from Tracer. The level 20 from Tracer that does the immediate detonation upon using the melee on top of the Pulse Bomb. It's a way to, of course, mitigate allied resources to help that person. He didn't necessarily want to push Thrall towards the west, but it's just an instant detonate that contributes to be a burst so that they can't be healed. It wasn't enough to kill him, so it didn't really make sense, but, you know, it's a combo to do.
I was like, when did a player from Oxygen get repulsion from Li Ming? Because I was like, wait, where's Li Ming's repulsion? But anyways, 20s apiece for these two teams. Yrel goes in deep. She is way too deep. Ardent Defender popped at the most critical moment. She gets the Divine Steed insta-mount, and Liam's around 50%. Bad Benny in the deep flank. Once again, 5 seconds on a Blessed Shield. This is looking a little chaotic for the side of 30k, but a Gorge onto Joanna. Nobody's around on the side of Oxygen to save this. That's a Righteous Hammer. There's a Light Bomb, and that is a dead Joanna. Is there a hook available for Cattle? Sundering comes out from Cure. Yasu might be the target, but Nick tries to get in the backline. Madara is the new target. Copen is going to get hit with the hook. There's a bunker down from the Blaze. 4 seconds on another hook, but Liam is going to get bopped around. Liam may find the kill into... No way does Liam get out of this. He gets the Divine Steed, the insta-mount.
Oh
He's
my
out of
God.
there. Blaze in mid lane will, or should, go down to the members. It's a triple kill to 30k. Things look so weird at the start of that fight, but 30k managing just so good. Like, 30k managed the members of Oxygen perfectly there.
Yeah, that was pretty damn sick. I mean, Liam got bursted so low that he didn't have Ardent Defender anymore in that moment before, where the Twilight Dream just about missed. But either way, Legacy saved him. Then it looked like Tracer was going to be able to take him down, but he jumped over the wall, has that level 7 pick, Divine Steed, that he definitely doesn't always pick. Yrels pretty much pick all different level 7s from time to time. They're not going to go for the keep. They're going to try to end with boss because the gems currently do not provide a win condition. The keep is actually going to remain alive. Nice job for HeroesCCL to take it down. But boss, is boss a definitive win condition or just a means to an end? Is it just going to get keep? That's what I wonder.
I think the latter of the two. I think it is more of, it's just kind of getting keep. I don't think it's going to be an end here. The way I see this being an end is 30k getting 1 to 2 kills, and then they can advance towards core. I looked at the keep in bottom lane for anyone wondering, 795 HP out of roughly 20,000 on that keep. So real low on that one, as we do have the boss in top. 39 out of 65 for the side of 30k, 17 in for the side of Oxygen, and 26 in their pockets. But Grubby, this should be a big moment for 30k.
Yeah, for sure. Watch Kaddle's position in particular. He determines how much of this fight will go. Meanwhile, Johanna with the sick deep flank again. Bad Benny coming from real far. That's a hook on Blaze, not the target he wanted. He's going to gorge it anyway, but in comes Johanna. Blessed Shield this time hits. right on top of Anduin. In comes Nick as well. They're going to try to blow up Anduin. He does a desperate prayer for himself, but it's not enough. Twilight Dream on Yrel. Yrel will fall also. Oxygen has done it. They have done the defense. Where this will lead, we're not exactly sure yet. They're probably going to take damage on their core, but this was a spectacular defense with such a 5-head Bad Benny deep engaged with the Blessed Shield where it's least expected. Little bit of core damage. Where does this go now? They're very close to a turn-in.
Cattle clears out the bottom lane. Madara needs some help to try and clear out this camp. I think it actually leashed on him. I feel like it actually leashed on him because I feel like those bars just went back up. But Kyr's here. They should be able to clear this out before the enemy makes the rotation. It's a little risky, but they managed to grab it. It is going to provide a little bit of a... it's creating space for the death timers of 30k, and I gotta say that defense from Oxygen was beautiful. They do lose the keep, they do lose 17%, excuse me, on their own core. Bottom lane keep still survives. It's a tense one here, Grubby. Honestly, it feels like it could be either team's game.
They need one gem. Oxygen needs one gem right now. They were unable to go from that far away because the boss was still available to actually even get a keep. The boss, of course, was just taken, so there are no win conditions for Oxygen until they get one more gem. That's awkward, because they had position to pay, and now they don't anymore, all because of one gem. Such a little thing to potentially determine the outcome of a game. And the lanes are even pushed up, so it's hard to even get that one gem. Plus, 30k can do maths as well, and they don't see the telltale glow around the number, knowing that 61 plus 3 is indeed not 65.
Oh, the glow is in. The members of Oxygen can go for the turn-in. What does 30k do? Yrel, she checks the top lane turn-in, so they know that the enemy's around bottom, but can they step in on the side of 30k Oxygen? They have Copen in the bush to anchor, and here come the big bad web weavers for Oxygen. 6-5 in levels, 22 minutes into Tomb of the Spider Queen map number 2. And let's see, can Oxygen close out with this web weaver phase?
It's even so impactful that 700 health on the bottom keep is still available. That moment, the 30k decided to leave the bottom keep with just 700 health, 2 auto attacks, and to take the boss when they did it, that may play a part as well in the final sequences of this game. And those moments may be here, or it may go on still. It really depends on how everything is played. Watch Caterpillar's position. He's gonna look at the trap and the concussive. He's going to look at the middle of the lane. He's going to try to get a gorge. Legacy is going to be in position to leap of faith him. Will there be a hook gorge here, or will there not? That is the question. Oh, nice positioning again by Bad Benny, forcing the Riptire to be cancelled real early.
Does have the extra oomph, which gives 25-second cooldown on the 75 overall of Riptire per enemy hero hit. Hook Gorge onto Tracer. That's a leap of faith that pulls away from the sticky wicket. There's going to be the Blessed Shield, and Madara goes down. Meanwhile, below, that's Liam getting a good flank onto the Malfurion, so we'll see a trade. Junkrat for Malfurion. The Webweaver phase is ending with the top lane Webweaver taking down the keep, and this is 30k still trying to kind of hold around their core as Copen confirms the bottom lane keep. 3 keeps to go down, no game to end, a trade, Junkrat for Malfurion.
Spectacular play really by Nick here with his Tracer, getting the kill on Junkrat. Such precision required as everyone is clustered together. I'm super impressed by Bad Benny as well. His Johanna is coming from the weirdest spots. Imagine coming back from a holiday to your house that had not been occupied for a while, and you're home for like 3 days, you're just catching up on some TV shows, and suddenly Bad Benny comes out of the closet. That's the kind of feeling I'm getting here. Like, how long have you been there in the back, and where did you suddenly come from? Because every time someone gets gorged, he comes from a 360 random direction, hits with the Blessed Shield, and disrupts at least some of the combo that might be coming out. If Oxygen ends up winning this game, he's definitely one of the MVPs. I'm also looking at Nick. Yep. Also, Cure had a nice counter engage in that fight as he hit a Sundering that interrupted the Twilight Dream and saw Yazu fall right then and there. As Madara tries to clear a bit bot, Bad Benny is looking. Do we have an opportunity to take him down?
Trap.
He knew there might be a trap.
Mitigated. Nice utilization of the Iron Skin, kind of doing a minesweeper, I believe Justin has called it in the past. And turn-in exists to the side of 30k. They have 36 out of 65 turned in. Cattle goes for a hook, won't connect. On the opposing side, 70 gems are necessary for Oxygen Esports, and they got 21 in their pockets. But Blaze, he's chasing onto Yrel. She pops the Unstoppable. Leap of Faith will be utilized as well. Checking Legacy really quickly. That's a hook out as well. Legacy does have 1 charge of Leap of Faith.
So shall we do some oxygen comms?
If we let's go on into Oxygen.
Yeah, really?
I'll try.
Drop.
I don't
Sure.
insta-ult her. I can't flank here.
No
I
hooking.
can.
I'm looking. I got one in.
Fight here. Fight here.
Yeah, yeah.
Looks Rally's rotated. Rally's rotated.
Yeah, he's gonna blink, in. Yeah. Brawl's in. I don't have D now.
I'm looking back. Looking pulse now.
Stitches.
There's still in trap there. No blink on.
You're paying.
Stop her. Stop her.
He paid.
No hook. No hook.
Wait.
Look at
It's
Throttle.
on
He
here, it's on
doesn't
here.
have any buttons.
I'm
I
coming
slow.
from flank now. We can go Anduin now. Can we run them down?
Okay,
Anduin.
kill.
There's one.
I'm on prime.
Okay, turn Thrall. They can't save Thrall. They will eat Hasu though.
I'm dead.
Is Thrall dead? Thrall is dead, right?
He has playing.
No, he had no. I don't know. We run down Thrall. I mean, you should though, right?
Some insight into the moments for Oxygen Esports as there is a trade, Hazuobs for Cure, but does this open up the opportunity for this turn-in for the members of 30k? I think yes. Or maybe not, actually. Bad Betty delaying out Liam once again.
I want to point out just a small thing from the comms, because it was very important to know if Cure has Blink. When he got the light bomb, they were afraid of his Blink, and you saw them spread really far. And I love that. They're super aware of what could happen. Then, 2 to 3 times, someone tried to say that Thrall didn't have Blink, but they got jumbled with their words. That's interesting to me, and others wondered whether he still has it. They were never able to finish their sentence.
That is actually it's just I feel like there's so much tension in this game. I mean, for the last 5 minutes, this has pretty much just been the back and forth. I mean, yes, we have had a web weaver turn in, there has been some keeps to fall, but it's been this tension. This back and forth tension. It's really it's a tight matchup. One bad fight on either side, that's GG for Tomb of the Spider Queen. Death timers are long enough, but it has to be more than just 1 kill.
Finally, the turn in by Liam. That's going to be a tough one, especially since Oxygen was unable to get the Bruiser camp during all that. Oxygen has more to lose in a 50-50 team fight because they have those 2 keeps. But it's like you said, I mean, the wave clear by both teams is good enough. The catapults really aren't a significant threat. They're not really a win condition unless the team is really bad at macro. They're trying to go for Anduin. They're trying to get Anduin. He gets a light bomb on himself. He gets a decent amount of shield, but he does get blown up. Yasuo gets bullied again before Twilight Dream can come out. Nice point blank hook by Cattle there. And now he's going to be eating Johanna as well. What's going to happen to Bad Bunny when he comes out? He's down.
Nick being zoned by a steel trap for like 20% of that fight, actually. Nick was not even hitting autos while Cattle was gorged. This is just so unfortunate. He got so split. That is the moment. That's right there what I was talking about, ladies and gentlemen. One good team fight to either team, and it's GG's. It's lights out, and it seems like Cattle and friends should be able to rush through top lane and go core. Only 83%, well, plus the shielding is left to go through this core, and I think Cattle and friends have secured it. It has taken them 29 minutes, one of the longer games we have had today, but this looks like it should be enough. With 17 seconds on Malfurion, a hook goes out as well. Nick trying his best to make the ultimate defense with Hazuobs. The Webweaver will go down. Cure is very low. Riptire from Junkrat. We do have Nick being zoned away by this. And that'll be map number 2 over the side of 30k.
Wow, very exciting
Tense one.
final sequence there of that game as finally 30k does clinch it. You had this big play going for Anduin. He made it last long enough with that light bomb to the point that there could be several turnaround kills. Everything was used on Anduin. And for some reason, Yasuo could never step up and do a Twilight Dream, right? Like many of the fights he tries to hit him with the Twilight Dream didn't work out. This felt like the weak link for Oxygen as well. Even as much as Anduin's own immobility felt like a weak link here for 30k. Both teams knew what to focus. But Justin, what do your expert eyes see as this game was played out?
It was, I think a lot of the kind of dynamics of the back and forth of the game came down mostly to the ways that these drafts are built. You have 30k's composition that's very kind of patient and combo focused that should be looking for hooks. And basically, I thought about it more as the game began, the way that the drafts should kind of interact with each other. and it really does feel a little bit more like 30K's composition, if both teams are playing perfectly, shouldn't really have a losing team fight. I think the only reason that the fights were so close is because Bad Benny on Oxygen was playing so well and was doing such weird flanks with Johanna. He was basically finding a way to flank every single fight. You would have thought that 30K would have kind of adapted to that and started leaving someone to anchor on the flank, but they really didn't. And even if they do, Johanna can press the Iron Skin and sort of run past them anyways. So Bad Benny, I think Bad Benny is the real reason that game was so close. I think it's almost entirely on him with the Johanna playing it so well. So shoutouts to Bad Benny in that game, because even though they lost, he was what kept them in the game with the draft that they had picked. And I have to be a little bit critical of the Cattle and Legacy with their combos, because for most of the game, the times they would lose a fight was like here, where Cattle eats the Blaze without hooking him first, and actually kind of hurts his team. He's kind of helping the enemy in that situation. And it happened top lane as well. It happened in the mid lane as well, where he ate the Tracer, and the Light Bomb didn't come out from Legacy. There wasn't any traps that weren't eaten by other members of Oxygen to follow up on the Tracer, and he kind of delivered a Tracer into his Junkrat in the mid lane. So I have to be a little bit critical of Cattle in this game, that it didn't feel like him and Legacy had the greatest synergy with the combo. And Liam played extremely well though, and you had Madara playing well, you had Cure who played phenomenally on the Thrall again. So I have to be a little bit critical of Cattle and a little bit, positives towards Bad Benny. This was the one time where Cattle really did get the better of Bad Benny in the match, but the damage from Oxygen is really slow. It's Lunara and Tracer. It's not really things that can really get in. Yasuo in particular, the only way that, I think he felt that the only way that they would win fights, and I think this is true, is if they hit a big combo with the Blessed Shield, and they kind of need the Twilight Dream to do that. But if you're doing that, it makes picking Malfurion feel kind of bad. Malfurion's very, very unsafe. This was the fight where it looked like they were going to lose because of the Anduin getting engaged on. But look at Yasuo. He goes in for the Dream, which is what he feels like he needs to do in the situation, and he's just so vulnerable doing that. There's so much self-sustain on the side of 30K between the Yrel, the Thrall, and the Stitches that there's not really very good targets for the Tracer in particular. And Lunara also doesn't do a lot of tank killing damage. It doesn't do a lot of staying power damage. It's a lot of spread. It's some poke, it's some spread poison damage, but nothing that really eats through those self-sustaining heroes like the Thrall, like the Stitches, like the Yrel. And so if 30K was just playing patiently and playing off of the hooks exclusively, I think it's nearly impossible for Oxygen to win. So a good try by them to make it that close, mostly based off of Bad Benny and his just nuts engages with the Johanna. Playing flanks on Johanna, you very rarely see Joe flanking. She's pretty much always a front to back hero that's just playing in the front, waiting to blessed. And to see him swap it up like that, understanding their playstyles, was really impressive from Bad Benny, and really good though by 30K in the end to kind of figure out that they need to be patient by the end there. Like Cattle made, I think, big improvements from the start of the game to the end of the game, just understanding how to play in the context of that match. So well played by 30K overall, but very close.
It has been a really, really interesting series thus far, but it's not over just yet. We are getting ready for map number 3. Before we get into this map, we're going to take a short little break, get everyone to stretch their legs and get some water and get ready for what could be the final map of the day. Before we go to this break, I want to have you all hit one special command in chat, !prize pool. Get yourself over to the match arena, and if you'd like to donate and push that prize pool closer to 10,000, we very much do appreciate it. Because of your support, we're at $9,059.44. Thank you all at home for supporting and watching HeroesCCL. We'll be back with map number 3 in just a few. Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name's Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justing, and we are in our second best of 5 of the day. We have got 30K going up against Oxygen Esports, and we're preparing for what could be the final map of the day, as 30K is leading in the series. And in our little bit of a break, you know, we've had some wobbles today. So Grubby, how have you leveled out during that break? I personally, I stared out the window. It's a little bit of a rainy, muggy day, so it's kind of like that like nice, relaxing chill. It's not like bright sun in the eyes and your pupils are hurting when you go stare out the window. But what'd you get up to in the break, bud?
Yeah, I tried to solve the Rubik's Cube that Logan just solved in about like 3 minutes or so. He scrambled it up for me, but I wasn't able to do it. And when I asked him how he did it, he just stared at me with the golden retriever smile. So, I don't know.
He's
Oh,
a
so
smart little guy.
mysterious.
You know, we're gonna have to like make like a donation incentive so we can get him to do that live on stream at some point. So we'll have to.
It's difficult for him to perform with an audience.
Sure. That's understandable. Justin, what'd you get up to on the break, my friend?
Yeah, I stared introspectively out the window as well, and I kind of gently placed my hand up against the glass and just imagined Baha doing the same from across the.
You know what's really weird is I actually did that exactly. I just had this weird intuition. I was like, I should put my hand on the window. So,
Isn't it ironic though, when you're introspective, you look inside, but you're actually looking outside the window? Isn't that kind of a paradox?
It is quite of a paradox. You know what is slightly paradoxical is having two map lords battling out on a battleground, because we know where we're going to for map number 3, and it is going to be two Towers of Doom. God damn, I tried so hard to play off that one, Grubby, but it's
a great segue. Great segue.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll just pat myself on the back on that one. But we do have the Gravekeeper going up against the Raven Lord as we are heading to Towers of Doom. This is going to be the map choice of Oxygen Esports, meaning that 30k will have first pick priority. Oxygen Esports opting for map pick as the losing side. Exciting stuff. We'll see what Oxygen brings to the table. Will we, Justin, get a interesting draft, much like Chili Mountain? Will we get a bruiserless comp? Sorry, I paused there for a little too long.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's definitely possible, because Chili Mountain and Oxygen, I think, have a lot of experience playing together, so I think it's safe to say if one team is playing something, the other is at least aware of it, so definitely possible.
I mean, Nick could play Sergeant Hammer, Hazuabs can play the Vikings. That's all you need. And then you just win.
We might be giving Chili Mountain credit for the comp that Oxygen came up with in scrims. You know, we don't know that.
It's very.
They might
possible.
be watching like, hey, like that's our comp. So.
And then there could even be a hammer pick by Madara. I mean, both of these teams have a pretty deep draft strategy and possibility. But theory on one side, practice in the present, because we are live with our third game draft. It's going to be a Lucio ban here coming up, 30k.
Nice. Okay. No Lucio to be had. I wonder if Junkrat makes his way back into this game. Nope. Grubby, that's not going to be the case whatsoever for Towers of Doom.
Yeah, Madara was pretty strong with Junkrat in that game. That's going to be removed, especially since this is a good Stitches map as well.
Yes.
They did end up winning with that very comp, though I wouldn't say it was draft-based. Everything was possible that game. That was pretty clear.
And, well, it's a target onto Hazu. All right, so Hazu won't be able to play Lunara. I mean, Hazuab's on this map in the past. I feel like he's played a lot of Tychus, a lot of Hanzo as well. So I feel like those are priorities. Actually, this is a map where I feel like we've seen a lot of Falstad played by Hazuabs as well. So maybe we'll see him break out Swiftwing, or as Justin has called it in the past, Gerald the Bird.
I thought that was his name. You put me on the spot. You're like, oh, wait, you know what Falstad's bird's name is? And I just thought it was
knows
Gerald
these things,
for some
right?
reason.
Yeah, Gerald the Bird.
I just thought that was it. I don't know. I can't. I know what the buttons do. I don't know what they're called.
That's fine. That's fine. See, this is why we can pilot a Jaeger together, because you got one half, I got the other.
Of course.
Taking the Chromie away potentially from a Madara.
Thank you, Grubby.
With that standard defensive composition of Johanna Chromie. Great against auto attacks. Both of these are actually really good against ranged auto attackers because they both have a good matchup into them.
And a Blaze to come down already, so we could see a bunker and the double soak from Blaze as the assumption he will be the solo laner, and that's in a Nubrak and Brightwing. I like Justin what we've seen from both drafts so far, but of course as we get into bans, any thoughts here?
The thing that's the most strange, I suppose, is the Anubrak being prioritized. I think it's mostly in response to the Chromie. Typically, this is where you would see something more like a Diablo to be in that slot, or even a Muradin, but I think into the Chromie, Cattle wants to be able to have that spell armor and have that ability to get through a Slowing Sands. Also gives him the ability to cleanse any potential time loops that could come out from the Chromie, although the expectation is for the Slowing Sands. Something that has not been banned now is the Thrall. So if Oxygen doesn't play it, I wouldn't be surprised to see 30k be okay with just taking that for themselves again. There's really no huge reason not to pick it. The Zeratil's been banned away, the Genji's been banned away, and you're kind of in a similar situation to before, where Madara has the option to go into these kind of control mage things that most people don't play, these things that are typically goalies, but not always, something like the Chromie, the Junkrat. Madara is known for playing things like Mephisto, and all of these heroes kind of need someone who kills tanks on the other side of that, or to, you know, to pair with them. And Thrall kind of does that perfectly for Cure, because I think Cure is a lot stronger on those melees than he is on the ranged. While he can play the ranged, he typically does better when he has CC and he has Engage. He has that kind of that agency in the fight. Deckard Hogger comes out, so we do see the potential makings for some kind of a Vikings comp if they want. Deckard is really strong in a 4-man. That's one thing that he does exceptionally well. If you have the blessings as well with the Vikings, when you do group, that's quite strong. Not sure if we'll see that, but that is still possible. And the one thing is that without Falling Sword, they do lack cleanse with the Deckard, so could even see something like a Zarya come out later on.
This is the second Deckard Cain game in all of our season of HeroesCCL. It was previously played Diamond Hands versus Storm Esports, and it was a victory for Diamond Hands. That was on Alterac Pass, for anyone wondering. So second Deckard Cain game of the season. But Grubby, any thoughts here before we throw it over to Justing, of course?
Yeah, Deckard has amazing slows. He's amazing at level 1 with that Sapphire slow. It's really going to help Chromie to hit her shots. It's also strong against heavy melee comps. Stay Wild Listen into Anubrak plays Maiev. And Brightwing, who often jumps along, is amazing. And we're going to see a Deathwing coming out here. Okay. Deathwing has quite a good matchup into Maiev because he cannot be tethered and pulled. He is an easy fan of Knife's target, and that means that Maiev is going to be hitting those fans more repeatedly, more easily. But I like that Deathwing quite a bit. Sylvanas is a big threat to him, though.
Absolutely. But of course, Justing, as we're loading on into Towers of Doom map number 3, what are your thoughts?
It's a very strange setup from Oxygen. It's especially weird to see the Chromie picked up for Hasuabs when if they plan on going with the Deathwing comp, because Hanzo with the Dragon Arrow is kind of the best setup for Deathwing if you're going with that Q build, which is kind of expected. Yeah. We don't see very much Deathwing, so it'll be interesting to see whether we see the Q build, the Dragon Flame Breath build, or if we see the, I don't know, Wing Flap build. I don't know the names of the abilities, but there's the melee build and there's the range build.
Sure.
They have Shockwave for it for good setup. They have potentially Bless Shield for it. They have Deckard with his CC as well. Although if they do those things, they're not going to have a cleanse for the Deckard without the Falling Sword. So, and the one thing that Maiev does do with Deathwing is you can disc him if she goes the containment disc. Very strong into the Deathwing. So I'm not quite understanding the Deathwing build, and also if Blaze goes with the Q spell power reduction, very good into Chromie and Deathwing. So we'll see how this goes, but I think that 30k should be able to take it if Madara is able to get some value and we get those talents coming in.
Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and introduce these teams real quick, because we got 30k in the blue, Liam on the Blaze, Madara on the Sylvanas, Legacy on the Brightwing, Cattle on the Anubrak, and Maiev to be played by Cure. On the side of Oxygen Esports, we've got Hazoabs on the Chromie, Nick on the Deathwing, Copen on the Hogger, Bad Benny on the Joanna, and Yasu to play the Deckard Cain. I feel like 30k can take this. It's not going to be an easy game, though, Grubby. I don't think this is going to be easy at all for 30k. I definitely think Oxygen have a really well,
wow.
Maybe
easy tower.
Yeah, it's an easy tower at least, but I do think it is a difficult composition to kind of shred through here, so I do think Oxygen are going to give 30k a run for their money. We'll have to see how Madara, I feel like he's going to be a critical factor for some of these large kills onto Hogger, Deathwing, and the Joanna.
Yeah, and I think I like to see too that I like to point out the difference in strength that both of the teams have.
Please.
30k has the high speed. I feel like they are embodying the speed ideal with the ability to weave in and out of battle, to have displacement, to have mobility. And Oxygen has the slow but strong composition. Never see a Deckard chasing after you. Johanna, not the fastest. Deathwing, not the fastest. But they are really good defensively. So you're going to see 30k try to poke holes in the defenses of Oxygen, and Oxygen will try to resist. And that's going to be interesting, because sometimes you need to be the attacker, sometimes you need to be the defender, depending on how the objective is going and whatnot. And I can't really decide what is going to be stronger at this time. I think it is difficult to attack into Oxygen, but 30k can always decide if they want to do that. Well, we'll see how it goes, because luckily we don't have to make a decision. The players are going to decide it for us.
Vault of the Wardens to save Cure from the burst ability of Hazuabs. As I was peeking at the minimap in top lane, Liam did get invaded by Nick and Copen and lost the camp, and he will try and clear this in wave before the Sappers do charge in. Copen getting a missing the bounce right there, but I think the sappers should be cleared out by Liam. Phase shift from Brightwing, polymorph here as well. But I think the priority is clearing. Oh no, it's still on to Copen in this top lane engagement. And Sylvanas, look at her rotation. She's looking to jump up here. That's a staggering blow that doesn't connect. Madara tries to dump in the damage, but can't get enough in as one sapper remains cleared out by Blaze.
Really interesting to see how much resources Liam was sacrificing to hold those sappers right there. He was taking like 10-15 minions worth of damage on himself as he used that level 1 adrenaline boost and Incinerator Gauntlets talent combo with 1 and 4 to clear those and prevent his towers from being blown up. Then Madara and Legacy even came up. In the meantime, what did Oxygen do mid and bot? Well, not all that much. They were still busy clearing other things, so small little advantage for 30k. But Oxygen did get more XP from the Sapper camp. All in all, quite even. Now we're going to see a dual split, Brightwing and Hogger taking their own. They're going to fight for the points on the bottom. Nick is going with the full melee build, the flappy build as Justin called it. It's going to be the Incinerate. Yeah, the Incinerate.
Onslaught's the lunge,
build.
yeah. You do have that, there's the Incinerate, that wing flap as Justin was talking about. There's the Onslaught, that lunge forward, and Madara going for the channel on the top left of our screen cancels that out as Cattle will anchor forward on the Anubrak. Once again, retrying to channel with Madara, shield glare from the Joanna. Bad Benny will delay things out. Chromie, with her Time Walker's Pursuit level 1, does reveal as Deathwing goes in for a Q, but since there's such a big windup, Madara sidesteps and applies some counter pressure to Deathwing as the objective will be left by both sides for a Sapper camp. As Bad Benny is anchoring, just kind of putting pressure here physically.
Oh, wow. Deathwing comes in with an interesting level 7, the Meteor's dropping. That's going to give him flight more often, but Copen is being ganged here. And 30k bring him down. Copen gets deleted, but that does give 4 points to Oxygen. So is it really a loss for them? They lose one hero. A bit of XP, but they get 4 shots. Well, 30k isn't done yet by taking more spoils towards the victor, which is themselves. They also steal the Sapper camp here. That's a little bit of extra experience.
Time stop onto 2, does have the armor reduction as Deathwing lands down on top of the enemy, which I believe also, does that reduce the spell armor as well? No, I'm thinking of a different, different talent.
So
yeah.
This level 7, what it does is it allows him to take Dragonflight again more quickly. Deathwing can normally fly up in the sky every 45 seconds, but for every meteor he hits, he gets a cooldown reduction. Generally, when you fully land on about 2 players, you can immediately take off again and fly. Now, why does Deathwing want to fly? Well, it's a very slow delayed global. He can land anywhere he wants to afterwards. He doesn't have that meteor drop to constantly interrupt altars that you must have seen often in your own Storm League games. But this allows him to fly more often. Now, why does Deathwing want to fly? Well, he starts with 40 armor, and every partition, every quarter of his health bar, if he ever drops underneath it, loses him 10 armor permanently until the next flight. Flight regenerates his armor plates and makes him more tanky. Anytime Deathwing drops under 3/4 or under a half, he's waiting for the next moment to fly again, and the meteors help with that.
Wailing Arrow, Cocoon, so much utilized to try and kill Bad Benny, and he's fine. He's actually maybe not actually. Maybe yes. I'm honestly unsure because Nick is going to land in this mix, and this is a single altar into the bottom. Nick is using that onslaught to step forward. Containment disc is going to be on a 69. Or excuse me, that was Wailing Arrow. It's going to be on a 12-second cooldown right now. Wailing Arrow 65 seconds away. Bunker and Blink heals are available. And Legacy gets the channel, and that's the end of that. Nice.
Right
well played.
on time. 30k prevents the counter interrupt for as long as possible. Right as level 10 is reached, that's when they stole away in the night with that altar capture.
And Deathwing, he's actually going to be going into the Burn Beneath My Shadow. So when Fort or Keep is destroyed, the cooldown of Cataclysm is reset, and then Cataclysm's periodic damage is also increased by 80%. Also, another little factor for anyone that might be new to Heroes of Storm or you don't know about Deathwing, he cannot be healed by the Hall of Storm, so Hearthing does nothing but take him back to the Hall. He can only be healed via the Flight, so when he's up in the air, he can regenerate that health for those bars, or Tap Well. Technically, there is one hero in Globes. Yes, I was going to say there's one hero in Heroes of Storm that can heal Deathwing, and it is Alex Straza with the level 1 Globe talent.
That's
So you
right,
can spawn
that's
a globe,
right.
But you can't actually directly heal Deathwing, nor could you like cocoon him or stormbolt him. You can stasis him. You can stop him though.
Yeah, and that's where containment disc comes in quite nicely. Big push there by Madara and Liam on the top lane. Who goes there? You see actually that Caterpillar on the Nubarak and Legacy are stopping people from rotating up. They're not even trying. Like Johanna, Deathwing, they're not even going up there.
The objective is spawning here. 30k is a little bit late in the position, but we already have Cure actually checking the bush over here. We'll see Yasu and Nick working on this. Spirit of Vengeance goes in. I'm actually a little surprised with how tanky... Hold on, I'm going to hold that thought really quickly because Legacy's coming in with the face shift. There's going to be a shockwave from the Hogger who gets the knock into the wall. Big soothing miss out from Legacy as the stay well unless he connects onto Cattle. He's going to try and back away. Does have that full W build, so taking damage after popping W gives him cooldown reduction on his Hardened Carapace, which is speed and also the spell armor at 65 total. Cure looking to maybe get the steal on the channel here. Cattle commits, but he does get delayed out by Hazuabs.
Meanwhile, though, Liam is capping. Bad Penny comes in. The blind, not relying on Blessed Hammers this time, which he doesn't have yet.
He learned his lesson from Team of the Spider Queen. That's an onslaught to disengage here. Copen gets hit with the containment disc.
He's going to be silenced when he comes out.
Had a potion. Umbral Bind, Polymorph. Dream Shot as well gets the poke here. We still have a fight, actually, just on the mid-altar. Actually, Deathwing's being chased by Madara, and he's getting chunked quite a bit. Liam and friend. Looks like Madara's going to go for the channel on the altar. Hazuabs might have the channel on the bottom, unless Nubrak does get one delay. He misses? Or no, I think Hazuabs sidestepped it. That's what it was.
Yep, sidestep the Impale. One has been captured. Madara has captured that. Actually, it's looking really hard for Oxygen to do relevant damage here into 30k. Kind of looking at these fights here as Madara jumps the back, takes down Nick. Yasu with the stay a while and listen, driven into a corner. He's still on the oil. He's trying to run away.
Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch to the side of Oxygen Esports as the members of 30k have collapsed, found the triple kill. Umbra Bind will be canceled out by the Hogwild from Hogger. Actually, Kira's still looking for some of those Fan of Knives. Did pick up one stack on that pin down from level 4. So this is what I just want to talk about earlier, and there was team fights and stuff. I'm surprised we don't see sudden vengeance from Cure for that percent-based damage into a Hogger, a Deathwing, and a Joanna.
Yeah, 6% damage when you blink on top of them. Instead, he is going to get, what does it do? Bonus Fan of Knives damage, quest 1. Then bonus damage, and then bonus damage. Yeah, so it's just bonus damage on Fan of Knives.
And even then, like, I rarely ever see that 4 stack finished out in casual games, and then especially in CCL where a lot of enemies are not going to be stacking up. I mean, it's very rare when I feel like we see the Subdue finished out nowadays. I mean, it still has the base value, but either way, Containment Disc will connect onto the Decker Cane. Cocoon onto Chromie, but she stasises that. Hazuabs utilizes the stasis to mitigate the Cocoon, but Yasu, he's got healing reduction with the Emerald, and that's all he wrote. The old man goes to the retirement home as Liam pushes up the top lane.
Yeah, this is such a cool composition, actually, running both Nubarak and Maiev. You have 2 ways to isolate someone away, and it's already hard enough for Oxygen to deliver real, reliable damage with this composition that doesn't get shrugged off by a Maiev Vault of the Wardens, her jump with invincibility frames, Blaze's Bunker. Because you got Deathwing, he's kind of cumbersome, you've got Chromie spells, they're very powerful, but hard to really pin someone down long enough in a particular place. Pommel for Hager should help quite a bit in terms of damage mitigation.
And unfortunately, I think...
we'll have to wait and see whether reliable damage can come forward. Bah?
Well, yeah, the thing I was going to point out is with the talent to your deficit, Oxygen's just going to have to eat 5 shots from the members of 30k. This will take him down to 17 core HP to the 32 of 30k. And now I wonder if with Maiev rotating to top, she's not going for boss, is she? She's not pulling a dino on us. Cure actually gets the phase shift. No, they're not doing a dino. They're just going for boss. They're looking for 9 total damage. I don't know if Oxygen has seen this rotation, but once again, as I mentioned for the altar phase, I don't think Oxygen can even invade with the talent to your deficit.
Yeah, they're just gonna try and bring it all back with their level 16s. Let's see if they can get some cool talents here. So now, when Deathwing lands on top of someone with his flight, with his dragon flight, they're gonna have their damage be reduced for 75%. 75% damage reduction and a 40% slow for 5 seconds.
It's a long, that's a long time
That's
in
a lot.
Heroes. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like the old variant point-click stun. Like that used to be a nightmare, and that felt like an eternity. And now, of course, you know, this is 5 seconds is a very long time to have your damage reduced. But you know, just don't stand inside the giant circle that's on the ground, forehead. But Blaze in top lane. Next objective is triple, and with the current stats. If all three are channeled by
Oxygen.
30k, yeah, if all three are channeled, they don't end at the current bell tower phasing.
30 seconds. This is the moment where Oxygen maybe could turn it around, but it's also the moment where 30k might be able to turn it into the pre-final stage of making a 3-0 here. Do we want to jump into 30k comps? We haven't heard from them this series yet.
Let's go into 30k.
Yeah,
it depends how many are here. Careful, mid.
it's kind of hard, depending on how many are here.
I'm just in between, ready to go either way.
Okay, Hogger's here still. Just wait.
Alright, you should be good to cap
I think
top.
they're trading, yeah, they're trading.
I can.
You guys might have to
There
give
might be a
this. It's
stopping
fine
here.
if you give it if you don't die. It's fine if you.
Yeah,
Definitely
it's
in
fine
the
to
air.
give.
He's gonna land.
We have some souls
You're
though.
4v5.
Yeah, we have
I
lots
cannot
of
rank anymore.
I
can't
think
either.
we just give it. Just
Alright,
give it,
they're
please.
looking, they're
Please give
looking,
it.
they're
Hogger Q down, Hogger Q down.
Can you come soon?
I
think
have this one.
Yeah, I think
got
we
it, I
should
got
fight
it.
this.
We win this, I think.
I don't think we need to, but I'm coming.
Dude, let's just farm.
All right, I guess.
I have this.
Yes, Joe, I don't think it's D.
Can we kill Joe? Kill Joe. Joe.
Yeah,
Joe.
go on, shot him.
Kill Joe. Kill Joe. Kill Joe.
Come here,
Kill
come
him.
here.
Kill him.
I'm webbing Hogger down here.
Kill him fast. Kill him fast.
Nice.
Nice.
Deathwing next, Deathwing
Watch
next,
the
Deathwing
sleep,
next.
watch the sleep.
Yeah, definitely next. Definitely next.
Get his fly out, get his fly out.
Just hit
Ignore
Deathwing. Hit
everyone
Deathwing.
else. Yep.
Come on me.
Yeah,
Come on me.
got his
Come on
fly
me.
out.
Come on me.
Careful, don't over.
Look at her. Look at her.
I'm seeing you.
Careful,
I'm okay.
careful.
I'm okay.
Watch out, Hogger, he has
He got
shockwave.
cancelled.
Yeah, there's a Hogger here, but he has shockwave. He has E.
I'm okay out of this. Disengage. Play for cap. Play for cap.
We are
Yo, he
big
used spin.
Hogger,
Wait,
kill
just
Hogger.
spin. Kill
Yeah,
Hogger.
no
Kill
spin, no
Hogger.
spin. He has
Careful
shockwave though.
sleep, careful sleep. I cannot
Hogger
break
still.
it.
Hogger still. He's in hell.
I'm asleep.
I'm trying to hit him. I have an E in one.
Pull in two.
I'm going on Deckard.
Yeah, same.
I stun
What
instantly
trap?
on this. It hits definitely.
No, that's so bad for them.
I'm dead.
Watch out. Chrome's gonna
drop.
farm us. Huge Z.
He's getting farmed.
Tuesday, yeah. How do we end here? Get triple
We-
cap? Triple
Alright,
fort.
like, mid and top.
Legacy
are
cap,
down,
legacy
Just
cap.
go triple cap. Go.
Leaving the 30k comms, they managed to dismantle the entirety of Oxygen Esports in a sense right there, as it's looking like massive conversions onto the bell towers. Losses up in 2 minutes, but we still have a potential cap. Oh, they're going for the big multi-cap here, Grubby.
Why not just... Oh yeah, but because boss isn't available yet. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Triple cap has been called. They want to have all 6 forts. There's a blessed shield with Deathwing coming in. She actually tried to blink away, but died from the forces of the Nexus as Deathwing gets put into a cage that seems far too little for him. He pops out. He's angry as heck, but it's a triple cap. That should be it.
Yeah, the mid lane hasn't even really come back into full value, or it wasn't turned on for a few seconds there. So yeah, I don't think there's a way or a world where mid lane gets reconverted with the way that 30k is defending. Nick with a sliver of HP, Deathwing with the Cataclysm near his core, and that is going to be 30k taking the series in a 3-0 GG. Well played to the side of 30k. So 30k closes that one out, and their map record skyrockets with that, honestly. They have a map record, they'll have a 4-0 lead, and they'll have a map record of 12-2. That is really, really
Very
strong,
good.
Justin. Yeah, like, Justin, if you were in CCL, how comfortable would you feel in those standings?
Definitely be pretty comfy. Maybe not a position that I experienced myself as a player, not being quite that comfortable, but definitely a position that Cure has been in before, I think, or at least felt near the end of the gauntlet before for Legacy and Cure being former Simplicity members. But yeah, 30k is looking absolutely like perfect right now. They're kind of looking. I mean, it's interesting to see how 30k was so dominant in the last season of CCL with a completely different roster, and now just a totally different roster, but 30k is looking super strong again. The thing that I want to sort of highlight the most about the team is I'd say that today they showed the best drafts from any team, in my opinion, that we've seen so far. I think a lot of that is Cure being kind of in charge of the drafting. Cure, I know, at a certain point in his HoTS career, began sort of learning how to draft, and I think that's something that he's gotten a lot better at, that he's began to excel at as a player, and as a sort of team leader he's kind of fallen into. Because I think all of these 3 games, the draft was quite handedly won by 30k. Maybe not to the extent that the games were completely unwinnable, but I'd say the first game and this last game are nearly unwinnable after kind of running through it in my head a bit and seeing the way that the games were played out. The spell armor from Brightwing, from the spell power reduction that you can get from Blaze at level 7. You have a Nubarak with the W build that makes him nearly invincible against the members of Oxygen. There's just really very few ways to win the game if you're Oxygen. The Deathwing not going Q build was very strange to me. I thought that was kind of the point of picking the Decker that you never really see. Since it wasn't gone, I don't really understand why they picked Deckard on the side of Oxygen. They also didn't go the Falling Sword, so they had no cleanse, which also didn't, like, that hurts them as well. The melee Deathwing build, I really wasn't expecting it. It really didn't get much, if any, value. It felt very weird. I'm starting to feel like Nick's Strange Hero pools might be more of a detriment going forward if he's unable to play the really standard pick. We saw Kira exploiting that really heavily in the draft with the 2 targeted bans against the Hammer and I believe the Genji against Oxygen. That makes the team much more predictable. So Kira, on the other hand, has things like the Thrall that he can play, that he played insanely well, that kind of fills like a very specific niche in a draft that otherwise can't be filled by mostly any other heroes, and they all played it basically perfectly. We also heard in the comms from 30k that their comms are developing a lot from the first week till now, where in the first week it felt just super cluttered and it felt like we had no idea kind of who was, like, what was going on. It was just too hectic. And now, while they're all still communicating, it feels a lot more concise and a lot more kind of clear on what's going on. So 30k developing into, just all around developing into a very, very scary team in this season.
I'm really liking what we see with 30k, and honestly, I think their draft, like the draft etiquette, or even just their draft knowledge, is so really, it's well showcased in today's matchups, and maybe this is something that you and I should sit down, Justin, and maybe do a deep dive as to why these drafts work so well, or how they've been kind of utilized as to counter draft in a sense. But of course, maybe we can even ask a question, because we've got Cattle on the line right now, and Cattle, can you hear us, my friend?
Yep.
So, actually, I have a question suggestion for you immediately. So, I'm going to ask you. Your draft seemed well prepared. Can you talk a little bit about how you prepared your drafts today?
I think mainly Kieran Legacy. Just do some draft prep and figured out, and we kind of talked through during the series to see if we wanted to make any adjustments. But I think we had a relatively good plan going in already.
Okay. And before I throw it to Grubby and Justin, I have a follow-up on that. Did anything from Oxygen catch you off guard today with that draft preparation? Maybe like the Deathwing or anything like that? Or were you just fine hunky-dory?
I mean, we definitely weren't expecting the Deathwing. Everything else was pretty straightforward. The Deathwing definitely caught us off guard, but it didn't look particularly good in that slot, so it wasn't really a worry.
Well, thank you for the insight. Of course, I want to throw it to Grubby immediately for a question.
Yeah, very well played today, Cattle. Did you guys expect such a landslide victory today?
I mean, we definitely expected we would win. We feel like we're in a pretty good spot. I think Game 2 was definitely not as clean as we wanted it to be, and I mean, we definitely expected Oxygen to put up a good fight. I think overall we felt like we were probably a little more prepared in draft, and that would give us a pretty good edge, and I think that's how it played out overall.
I see. Thank you.
Justin, any questions for Cattle?
Yep. First of all, congrats. You guys are looking super scary this season. It's nice to see the NA super team, actually doing its job, following through with the expectations. It's nice. Is there any team that you're sort of more worried about as the season progresses, or any teams that you think are maybe becoming more of a threat as the season goes on?
I think probably Wildheart is the one to keep an eye on. They've definitely improved the most out of all the teams, and they have a pretty difficult play style to play against. They're just extremely aggressive and decisive, and if you're not like perfectly ready and set up for it, you get run over pretty fast. But yeah, and then Chili Mountain. I mean, you can't ever count out that roster either.
Well, we look forward to you going up against Chili Mountain in week number 6. Next weekend, you go up against Diamond Hands. Any excitement, concerns, or thoughts on that upcoming matchup on June 11th?
I mean, I'm always concerned against Diamond Hands because I'm terribly afraid of being cheesed, and I know they're playing it already, and I don't want to get cheesed.
Well, all right. Well, there you go. I do have one more question before we get to shoutouts, and it is it's actually off of that map number 2, that Tomb of the Spider Queen. How did your team adjust to Bad Benny constantly doing these insanely deep flanks? Because it seemed like that was something that was needed to be addressed at some point, and how did you address that as a team?
I think we just ended up deciding we just trade in fights. Like, Legacy is doomed, and we can't really do anything about it. So just live as long as you can, and hopefully we can get some sort of trade. Just like slowed down the fights a little bit, and just played the long Tomb Stitches game.
Alrighty. All right. Well, thank you for the insight, and as always, any shots that you'd like to give, the floor is all yours.
Just shoutouts to 30K, shoutouts to my teammates, and yeah, shoutouts to Oxygen. That first game with the DC was very unfortunate, but they pulled it together and put up a good fight anyways.
Well, thank you, Cattle, for the interview. Thank you for joining us. Good luck in your scrims, your preparation. We'll see you next weekend, Saturday, in the first best of 5 up against Diamond Hands, and good luck in your anti-cheese preparation.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Alrighty. Well, we got some insight into the draft, the knowledge, the play style, and kind of a little bit in between here. So some really cool stuff, but that is going to be a 30K victory over Oxygen Esports. But of course, we're not done breaking things down for all of you at home, because we're here. We're ready to go into everyone's favorite segment of the day. This is going to be Justing's super springy clip presented by Wisdom.
This is the springy clip of the day, presented by Wisdom, and we can get right into it. It's the clip, the fight that ends it all in Game 2. We've got Nick diving onto the backline alongside Open, almost one-shotting Anduin, but he does get the light bomb off to survive just a little bit. You have Yasu trying to get his Twilight Dream off, but getting interrupted by the Stitches hook coming out from Cattle, completely kind of saving that fight. Had that not gotten interrupted by Cattle, their career may have gone down. You have the follow-up damage onto Bad Benny, and at this point, they're on the run from Oxygen. The fight looked like it was going to be the game-ending fight for Oxygen, getting that pick onto Anduin, but everyone from 30K peeling for each other exceptionally well, taking advantage of the cast animation on Malfurion, Cattle stopping that in its tracks. Really a potentially game-winning hook, even though it was a very short one, and a game-winning fight for 30K.
Game-winning fight, and that'll be 30K taking that victory, as we had mentioned before. But of course, when it is ready to go, we got some league standings updated for all of you at home, and I'm excited to dive into these so we can actually get an idea of where everyone sits here at the end of week number 4. Grubby, can you break this down for everyone at home?
2 teams unable to get a victory so far. Granite Gaming looking a little better in the process, and I'm still expecting good things coming from them. For Simplicity is looking increasingly bleak, but well, there's always going to be a bottom 8 team. 30K with the match that you just saw furthers their lead, and not just with a perfect spotless record in terms of series, but with very few maps dropped along the way as well. Truly the NA dream team right now. Then for everyone else, everyone between Wildheart and Storm, there's still a good chance to get top 4. Though, of course, with Wildheart, Chili, and Diamond Hands, they have the better chance with that right now, with a 3-1 score. I don't think we've been here after Playday 4 and have had quite a record like this, where there's a fairly clear top 4, top 5 separation from the rest. So this is an interesting thing to see. It's quite hotly contested about those top 4 spots.
Yeah.
And those are, of course, the ones that will eventually go to LAN on August 5th to 7th.
Yeah. Top 3 is guaranteed to punch their ticket. 4th spot will have to fight the creature that comes from the gauntlet on July 10th and 11th, if I'm not mistaken on that date. Let me just double check. 9th and 10th, excuse me, will be the gauntlet ladder bracket playoff. But that's way in the future. Let's look in the closer future as to what we could see next weekend for our games here, Justin.
Yep, we've got 30K going up against Diamond Hands in the first match next week. We've got a very close one there in the standings, actually, with 30K being 4-0 and Diamond Hands being 3-1. Diamond Hands has taken some of their victories off of some of the lower standing teams, so while they are 3-1, 30K with their 4-0. Gonna see if they can extend that to a 5-0. Definitely gonna be very exciting though, with the standings being very impacted from the first match. And then we've got Simplicity versus Granite Gaming. At last, one of these teams has to get a win, as they're both 0-4 in the standings right now. But one of these teams will secure a win and will secure, at the very least, bragging rights over the other in our second match.
And then in the third and fourth match of the weekend, we can take a look at Sunday, June 12th. Going to be having 2 more best of 5s. We'll have that Wildheart versus Chili Mountain. Should be a great matchup. And then Oxygen Esports versus Storm Esports. That should be a pretty close one. Oxygen looking like the stronger team, but Storm Esports, they did come off a victory this weekend, so might be riding that high. And Lauber feeling pretty good yesterday. I saw him tweeting about how he was felt good to get a W, and maybe that's what gives them the momentum to fight up against Oxygen on Sunday. But some great matches through week number 5. Really, really exciting stuff. And, you know, I always like to do this at the end of every series, or, you know, we're kind of at the end of the day. So I want to start with Justing. Any takeaways from 30K versus Oxygen or our week 4 play days?
30K is looking super strong. Their drafts are looking very good. It feels like now that Kira's played things like Thrall, it's a lot more difficult to ban him out, especially with Mayav recently getting buffed. They kind of have a lot more flexibility. He's no longer a Zeratul one trick as his only really scary sleeper pick. So that's cool to see that 30K has a really cool, kind of more diverse playstyle now with Kira and the 30K roster. And on the other side, Chili Mountain is looking to be quite strong alongside Wildheart. Those are the teams that are really standing out to me as in contention for that first place spot right now. So we'll see how things shake up, but there is definitely a lot of separation happening between the teams that are proving to be just a little bit above the rest as the season progresses.
I think you beautifully said that. Grubby, any takeaways, thoughts?
Yeah, it's so cool because the process throughout which top players or top teams gain new strategies is always running counter to every prediction that a viewer, a caster, and an enemy team may make. There is a certain status quo of generally accepted heroes in the meta, and then it takes one player or one team to introduce a new hero into the meta and prove that it works. It's not just good enough to be creative and think outside of the box. You actually have to make it work.
Yep.
And that's what's happening here with Cure once again with his Thrall. Before, it was mostly only him that was allowed to play Zeratul. Now it's mostly only him that's playing Thrall. And these kind of danger picks, they're really valuable. And on the other side, Deathwing now is continuing not to be feared because it didn't work out today, right? So coming up with it and then making it work, you just know that there was a moment inside his quiet moments of reflecting on the game where he said, guys, I think Thrall is actually kind of broken, dude. Like, I think we should be playing more Thrall.
Good.
And he won't be the first to think it. There will be viewers. There is McIntyre, who was our analyst, who will think that as well. And I know, Justin, you have a healthy appreciation for Thrall as well. But to actually prove it here on this stage, that's a different story as well. So 30K looking like the team to beat right now. The next weekend, if we had a Swiss system, every team will face who they would be facing in a Swiss system. It means you're facing the team that has the most similar score to you that you haven't played yet. That's exactly what's happening. So next weekend is going to be some of the most even matches that we've had so far. So definitely something worth tuning in for.
Yeah, you do not want to miss week number 5 of HeroesCCL on June 11th and 12th, starting at 11 a.m. PDT, 2 o'clock EDT, and 20 CEST. We thank Next Level Gaming for sponsoring HeroesCCL Season 4 and for Ball Street joining us and partnering up with us for our amazing HeroesCCLmarkets.com. But of course, from Grubby, Justing, myself, the Wisdom family, and everyone on the admin side, we thank you so much for watching HeroesCCL. We thank you so much for supporting the prize pool as well as these players. We look forward to more games on the 11th and 12th. And until then, stay safe, and we'll see you in the Nexus. Good night.